Chapter 284. June 6th, Friday. It was a sunny day, but the weather forecast in the morning was all about the upcoming rain. Toru Watanabe walked into Class 4 of Grade 2. Most of the students were already working hard for the final exams. Miki Kujo was lying on her pillow, staring at Rin Kiyono, who was sitting upright and reading. She noticed Toru Watanabe coming in from the corner of her eye, so she stared at him again. She watched him walk over and sit down in front of her. She sat up and rested her chin on her hand with the ring on it. Did you have fun last night? Fun. Toru Watanabe's eyes were attracted by the red gem on her ring, her slender fingers, and her fair side profile. Those two women didn't celebrate your birthday in advance? Miki Kujo asked with a smile. They had dinner together and enjoyed high-quality fruits. After that, we chatted and received a birthday present from Koizumi-sensei. It was a glass of water that she bought from Osaka. My Asahi and Aona Koizumi were together. Yes. They're quite open-minded. Miki Kujo sneered. Toru Watanabe reached out and held one of her hands. We're both very grateful to you. We. Miki Kujo repeated the word. She withdrew her hand and pointed at Toru Watanabe, then at herself. We're only a couple, a family. Do you understand? Kujo-san. Rin Kiyono looked at her book and said, if you want to win against me, you can't be so strong. Why don't you be more submissive? Kiyono-san, I have a question for you. You've already lost, so why don't you say to Toru, be with me, and I'll allow you to date them? Because I'm strong. Rin Kiyono turned her head and looked at Miki Kujo. I'm stronger than the three of you, so I don't need to be submissive to anyone. How can a loser speak so confidently? Miki Kujo was puzzled. Then, she suddenly realized something and said in a mocking and condescending tone. Because you're too confident, that's why you're a loser? Rin Kiyono's cold and beautiful eyes stared at Miki Kujo. The 9 beauties looked back at him with disdainful and charming eyes, showing no signs of weakness. Today is Kiyono-san's birthday. You're speaking for her. Miki Kujo turned to Toru Watanabe. You think I need to rely on my birthday to make her go easy on me? Seino Rin glared at Toru Watanabe. I'm just trying to stop the fight. It was Aona Koizumi's arrival that saved Toru Watanabe. She was wearing emerald earrings. During lunch break, Aoyachiki secretly asked Toru Watanabe when the two girls went to the club. Kuin Watanabe, you were talking about my senpai this morning. What's going on? She lives in the same apartment as me and Koizumi-senpai. Last night, we had dinner together at Koizumi-senpai's house. Class 2's English teacher, Aoko, and Miyazaki-senpai from the infirmary were also there. What about allowing you to date them? Miki-senpai said that because she was jealous. I see. Aoyachiki sighed in relief. Then I'll go to the blowing club. Thank you, Kuin Watanabe. After saying that, she rushed out of the classroom. Her pleated skirt bounced on her legs, and her short hair danced in the wind. She ran to catch up with the members of Class 4's blowing club. Toru Watanabe and Keisuke Saito met up. What did Yatsuki-san say to you just now? Osamu Kanai had his hands behind his head. You still like her? The class leader asked. No, I'm just curious. Don't worry. Toru Watanabe said. Yatsuki-san was looking for me to ask about my senpai. Heikoi. Keisuke Saito bumped Osamu Kanai with his body, so that he couldn't maintain his handsome posture. Aoyachiki is much more affectionate than you. She's liked you since middle school. You're not good enough for her. I agree. Toru Watanabe nodded. I agree. The class leader pushed up his glasses and said. Osamu Kanai had nothing to say. He said angrily. You just wait and see. When I enter the finals of this year's Koshien, I'll definitely be more popular than Watanabe. Don't even talk about entering the finals. Even if you win 100 championships, you won't be more popular than Watanabe. Keisuke Saito put his hand on Osamu Kanai's right shoulder. Reality is reality. Consciousness is consciousness. Reality determines consciousness, not consciousness determines reality. Give up. The class leader put his hand on his left shoulder. What kind of philosophy is this? Toru Watanabe asked. Are you interested? The class leader immediately let go of Osamu Kunai and turned his head. Matter determines consciousness. This is the main idea of materialism today. It's divided into macroscopic and microscopic aspects. The three of them ate while listening to the class leader's philosophy class. After school, Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono sat in Miki Kujo's car and went to the palace villa that stood on Tokyo Bay. I thought there would be a large group of people in formal wear waiting for us, Toru Watanabe said as they walked into the spacious and bright living room. You're talking about my birthday when I was 5 or 6 years old. Rin Kiyono replied. Toru Watanabe guessed that she didn't like birthdays like my Asahi, or that she hated lying people and places. Rin Miki Kuin Watanabe. Mrs. Kiyono, who was wearing a black formal wear, said to the three of them, "Go change." "I have to change too?" Toru Watanabe asked. "Of course. You're my son. You have a room in this house and a wardrobe for you. Go." Toru Watanabe didn't want to ask about this, but no matter what he asked, it seemed that he had to change. The maid led him into a room, which was right next to Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo's room. The layout of the room and the wardrobe were all prepared for him. If it weren't for the fact that he hadn't officially registered, Toru Watanabe believed that Mrs. Kiyono would have given him a share of the Kiyono family. He was the only one who changed his clothes. The other two ladies went to take a shower. Toru Watanabe wore a thin suit and came down from upstairs with his hands in his pockets. His leisurely pace, his handsome and delicate face, and his every move was filled with confidence. Just based on these, the servants believed that he was the young master. The two ladies looked at Toru Watanabe with appreciation. Looking at him, Mrs. Sano thought to herself, if they really had twins back then, and Sano Rin had an older brother or a younger brother, then her son would probably look the same as him walking down the stairs right now. Thinking of her daughter, she couldn't help but say to Toru Watanabe, "Kuin Watanabe, it would be great if you were really my son." "Kuin Watanabe is going to be my son. You can't take him away." Mrs. Kujo, who was wearing a red dress and revealing her beautiful shoulders, said with a smile. Mrs. Kiyono didn't mean that, but she didn't want to reveal too much of her emotions. She was going to follow her words and continue joking. Just as she was about to speak, Toru Watanabe suddenly said, "Rin Kiyono is already amazing enough." Mrs. Kiyono looked at him. She didn't expect that a boy who she had only met a few times would be able to immediately guess the meaning of her words. She didn't want to take Mrs. Kujo's joke anymore. "What's so amazing about her?" she asked with interest. "When I first met Rin Kiyono, I was like most people. I thought that if she didn't lie, hated liars, and didn't associate with liars, there must be something wrong with her head. What about now?" Mrs. Kiyono looked behind Toru Watanabe and continued to ask. Now, Toru Watanabe took a glass of juice from the long table filled with food and cake. "No one can be more amazing than her. In my heart, no one can be more outstanding than her." "Is it because of her appearance?" Mrs. Kujo said. "Of course her appearance is outstanding. She's as beautiful as Miki, but that's not the point. My first impression of Miki and Rin Kiyono are all negative," Toru Watanabe continued. "Those businessmen who seize the opportunity to make a fortune are respected more because of their wealth rather than their personal qualities. If they don't seize the opportunity or squander their wealth, they're no different from a homeless person walking by the roadside. I don't think that these people are outstanding or amazing. Rin Kiyono is different. You don't agree with her methods and even think that it's stupid. But no matter what, sooner or later, you'll be amazed by her determination and admire her perseverance. She'll move you and capture you." After a long speech, Toru Watanabe took a sip of his juice. "She's not as good as you say." Mrs. Kiyono stared at Toru Watanabe quietly. She seemed to be talking to Toru Watanabe, or to the people behind Toru Watanabe. "You may not know, but in our circle, she's the most unpopular person. If you go out and walk around, you'll hear a lot of rumors about her. Even the servants are ostracizing her behind her back. That kind of thing." Toru Watanabe smiled. "Actually, it's fine no matter what." The two ladies' eyes were filled with doubt. Since Rin Kiyono was 16 years old, or more accurately, since she was 15 years old, he said, I've always been by her side. Until today, when I turned 17, I don't need to know about her from other people. On the contrary, those people should come to me and ask me about her. If you don't know the law and leak my information without permission, I can ask a lawyer to educate you about the law. Rin Kiyono's voice came from behind him. Toru Watanabe turned around and looked at Rin Kiyono on the stairs. She was wearing a simple dress for her mother's request. It was light blue, cool and indifferent. Every time he saw her, she seemed to be more beautiful than the last time. Her whole body exuded a charming glow. Long live the right to privacy. Toru Watanabe raised his juice at her and smiled. Under the dazzling lights of the palace, his smile was full of understanding and trust. Anyone who saw this smile would think that they were favored by the whole world. The maids were infatuated and intoxicated, but Rin Kiyono turned a blind eye. She gracefully came down the stairs and said from her cherry lips, "Are you imitating Gatsby? If there's enough money, I'm willing to play, but there's a small problem. Ask your Mickey to sign an operation permit for you. The person who plays Daisy must be an actress who is not interested in human beings. Otherwise, on that autumn night 5 years ago, Daisy would have given up everything and run away with me. I wouldn't have to wait for me to get rich and come back for her." "Of course," Toru Watanabe said with a smile. "Mickey's operation permit is also necessary." After he said this, Rin Kiyono had already walked down the stairs and came to the three of them. "Mother, Aunt Kujo." She bowed slightly. "Happy birthday, little Rin," Mrs. Kujo said with a smile. "Thank you, Aunt. Happy birthday," Toru Watanabe said. Rin Kiyono turned around and said in surprise, "Oh, why are you still here? If I'm not here, where can I go? This is also my home. Asking your Mickey for an operation permit? Or night swimming in Tokyo Bay? Swimming is just a way for me to exercise my body. It's not that I like swimming, let alone night swimming. Thank you, happy birthday to you too. Listen carefully to what I have to say." The two ladies looked at the two of them, and unconsciously showed an elegant smile. After a while, Miki Kujo came down wearing a blood-red dress. The color was very similar to Mrs. Kujo's, but the style was different. Mrs. Kujo's style was graceful and noble, with a bit of temptation, but she had the style of a proud teenage queen. When she came down the stairs, Toru Watanabe reached out and took her thin hand with a ring on it. "It's my birthday. Why does it feel like it's yours?" he whispered with a smile. "Then I'll hold your hand?" Miki Kujo looked at him charmingly. "When it's your birthday?" Toru Watanabe said as he sniffed her hair. "You even washed your hair. Why? Did you have a fight with Rin Kiyono or not? You're so impolite that you washed your hair in her house? Kiyono's family is Kiyono's family. Rin Kiyono is Rin Kiyono. Actually, Rin Kiyono isn't Kiyono's child. If you tell me such a secret, I won't be killed, right?" Miki Kujo squeezed his hand. Because they could see through lies and didn't like lying, Rin Kiyono's birthday was only attended by the 5 of them. In previous years, there were only 4 people, which was even more miserable. The information came from Mrs. Kiyono's secret leak. After a simple exchange of birthday gifts, Toru Watanabe received a pair of silver cufflinks. After Rin Kiyono received the hairband, she put her hand on her chin and pondered for a while. "Did you buy it in Ginza?" "No." Rin Kiyono nodded. Just like on the last night of the family camping trip, she said, "You can't bear to part with me." And Toru Watanabe replied, "No." Whether he admitted or lied, as long as he opened his mouth, he was telling her the truth. If he didn't want to say, he could change the topic or not answer. Mrs. Kiyono's gift was nothing special. She said that she bought a horse for him at the racecourse, and that she would take him to play during the holidays. As for Mrs. Kujo, she finally gave Toru Watanabe the fan that she promised to give him during the new year. It was engraved with the words, "The shore of the earth." It was a line from the Book of Songs, Xiaoya. It was indeed a fan with a sense of age. Nowadays, the era names in Japan began to quote from the ancient classics of Japan, collection of 10,000 leaves. They no longer chose words from the ancient books of China. Miki Kujo gave Rin Kiyono an old book. If Toru Watanabe didn't see wrongly, he bought it a long time ago and threw it in her villa. Did he just take it? Recycling trash? Miki Kujo gave Toru Watanabe the apartment where he lived now. Except for my Asahi's apartment 602. Why do I feel like I'm being warned? You still have doubts about this? Miki Kujo slowly opened Toru Watanabe's fan and looked at the words, the shore of the earth. She didn't show any misophobia when it came to Kujo's belongings. Maybe it was because the fan had been in her mother's hands for many years, and now it belongs to Toru Watanabe. You don't need to worry about the apartment. There will be someone to take care of it. The rent is your pocket money. She put away the fan and returned it to Toru Watanabe. While the two were talking, there was an argument on the other side. Rin Kiyono and her mother were arguing with each other. Kiyono's attitude was firm, and there was sadness on her face. Rin Kiyono's expression was cold. P.S. Thank you again for the second liter of Kanna Arima. I won't stay up late today. I'll go to bed at 12 o'clock. I'll write as much as I can. I'll write the rest tomorrow. I'll finish it in 2 days. Chapter 285. Idiot. Suddenly, Mrs. Kiyono raised her voice. The servants all lowered their heads. The living room was so quiet that one could almost hear the sound of the waves on Tokyo Bay. Toru Watanabe had never seen Mrs. Kiyono speak in such a strict tone. For a moment, he stared at her in a daze. Miki Kujo stood beside him, staring at Rin Kiyono with her moving eyes. Mrs. Kujo was the only one present who acted as if nothing had happened. She found a sofa and sipped her red wine contentedly. If you don't change, you can leave this house right now. Mrs. Kiyono's tone was still agitated, but she lowered her voice again. Others might not have heard it clearly, but once Toru Watanabe noticed it, unless even Rin Kiyono couldn't hear it, he wouldn't miss it. I only walk my own path. Rin Kiyono said resolutely. Walk your own path. Then where do you want the Kiyono family to go? I don't even ask you to change your bad habit of only telling the truth, as long as you don't hate people who lie. In the face of her mother's words, Rin Kiyono lowered her eyes and used silence to answer. Mrs. Kiyono looked at her daughter. Koen Watanabe doesn't lie? Don't you get along very well with him? Rin Kiyono looked up at Toru Watanabe, then turned to her mother and said, Mother, please allow me to leave Kiyono's house. Because she was too shocked, Mrs. Kiyono was speechless for a moment. Even if she couldn't hear it, everyone in the living room felt the atmosphere become more oppressive. After a while, Mrs. Kiyono said with a slightly hoarse voice, There are some things that I indulge you more than anyone else, but there are some things that I can't forgive more than anyone else. Mother, I'm sorry. Are you sure you want to leave this house? I don't want to, but perhaps it's just as those people said. I'm not normal, but I won't give up on myself. I won't compromise. I don't want to interact with people I don't like, and I won't change myself to obtain the approval of others. Do you know what this means? Mrs. Kiyono said, almost in pain. Lose everything that belongs to Kiyono's family. Rin Kiyono said calmly. I don't want to show off, and I'm also very grateful to Kiyono's family for raising me for so many years. But in these years, I've learned enough skills to live a stable life. In the future, if Kiyono's family needs my ability, I'm willing to help. Toru Watanabe could even see that Mrs. Kiyono's bright and beautiful eyes were bloodshot, and fine veins were popping out on her snow-white neck. Are you really going to give up on this home? I don't want to, but I have no choice. I understand now. Mrs. Kiyono looked at her daughter. After so many years, you still have no feelings for me. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here today. You treat me like this. The scream pierced the silence in the living room, and even Mrs. Kujo subconsciously quieted down. I'm myself first. Rin Kiyono's voice was steady, like the sound of the waves in Tokyo Bay, unaffected by anyone. What about Kiyono's family? Give it to those so-called relatives? They're not biological, so what's the difference between them and outsiders? Rin Kiyono was silent, and her attitude was firm. The mother and daughter were in a deadlock. Miki Kujo took a plate of fruit, and used a knife and fork to fork a piece of watermelon for Toru Watanabe. Don't look silly, she whispered. Toru Watanabe bit off the watermelon from the fork, opened the fan on the Sutsubai shore, and covered their noses and lips. He whispered to her. What do you think? It's not strange that she made such a decision. Miki Kujo fed herself a piece of watermelon. It's always been like this. There's a story? I'll tell you when we get back tonight. It's about to start again. Miki Kujo smiled as she ate the fruit and watched the show. Toru Watanabe put away the fan and looked over, and saw Mrs. Kiyono take a deep breath and say in a deep voice, Kiyono's family is yours, whether you want it or not. You have to change that habit of yours. Actually, there's a way. Rin Kiyono looked at her mother. There's no way. I'll marry Toru Watanabe and let him take care of Kiyono's family, and I'll be responsible for supervising and supporting him. Kujio Miyoshi's action of eating the fruit paused, then continued to eat expressionlessly. Mrs. Kiyono looked over. Is the Kiyono's family declaring war on the Kujo's family? Mrs. Kujo said with a smile, not affected at all. Then let's start the war. Mrs. Kiyono said with a smile, as if the one who was angry just now was someone else. After saying that, she turned to look at her daughter, and the smile on her face gradually disappeared. If you can do it before the end of the year, I'll agree with your choice. If you can't, you have to listen to me. Okay. After the argument, the birthday party continued. Music played in the living room, and a simple dance party began. The two ladies danced together and mocked each other, and they had already started their war mode. Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo were together. How meaningful is it to stand by yourself despite the opposition of so many people? Miki Kujo said softly. I can't say that she's right, but she's definitely not wrong. Toru Watanabe hugged her slender waist under the dress and felt her graceful figure. He couldn't help but whisper in her ear, wear this tonight. Miki Kujo looked at him with a smile. Your favorite Rin Kiyono is in a desperate situation, and you still have the time to think about these things? No matter what, I want your body. Besides, there's nothing I can do to support her. Support me has always been what I've been doing. Nothing will change just because she quarreled with someone. Support? You're going to marry her? Take over Kiyono's family? I promised her that I'll support her no matter what, just like I promised you that I'll love you and marry you. What about 6 months later? If Rin Kiyono can't do it, what will you do? Didn't you hear what her mother said just now? Whether Rin Kiyono is willing or not, Kiyono's family belongs to her. With this thought in mind, her mother won't hurt her no matter what. Since that's the case, I don't need to do anything deliberately. What if she hurts her? Miki Kujo continued to ask. Then I'll have to ask you for permission to act. What are you going to do? To see how much Rin Kiyono wants to take revenge, Toru Watanabe said. As the heir of the family, she enjoys everything that the family brings to her, but she's not willing to do anything for the family. Do you think that's right? It's hard to distinguish between right and wrong in this kind of thing. No matter if a person is a parent or a child, they have to be themselves first. Is it wrong to want to be who you are? She doesn't completely disregard her family. Miki Kujo put her hands on his shoulders. The two of them were no longer in a standard dance position. If only you were really Rin Kiyono's twin. All the problems would be solved, and I wouldn't have to work so hard when I was young. That might be terrible. Rin Kiyono and I are twins. I must have grown up together with you. Perhaps we've already done some illegal things. Toru Watanabe tightened his grip on her waist, and their bodies pressed closer together. What illegal things? Miki Kujo's voice became excited and mysterious, as if she wanted to tell him about her intolerable desires. You had a child when you were very young? I don't understand. Be more straightforward. She teased him. Let's talk when we get back. Toru Watanabe's lips were close to her ear. Tonight, I'll let you know how many dirty and obscene words I know. If they're not dirty and obscene enough, and I won't be satisfied, I'll punish you. After the song ended, Mrs. Kujo asked Toru Watanabe for a dance. Wait for me to ask Miki for permission to act, he said. Go ahead. Miki Kujo's mouth was a little dry, and she drank her lemonade. Mrs. Kujo was dressed seductively and luxuriously. Her snow-white shoulders were exposed, and her breasts were bulging. Toru Watanabe looked straight ahead and kept his distance. His hands were also obediently placed where they should be. Relax. You're so nervous. I'll think you care about me. Toru Watanabe pretended not to hear her. Do you need something from me? A bunch of smart kids. Mrs. Kujo sighed. She could smell the fragrance of red wine. She lowered her voice and spoke in an even more charming voice. How's your discussion with Mickey going? About what happened just now? Not much discussion. We just said a few simple words. It was mainly flirting. Flirting? Tell me about it. Toru Watanabe was silent and obediently danced to the rhythm. Mrs. Kujo's dress fluttered. She elegantly twirled around and landed in his arms with a warm fragrance. I don't want to ask about the relationship between the three of you. If you can get Mickey to be willing, you can have as many lovers as you want. I'm a little surprised by your attitude. I don't want to quarrel with my daughter. Mrs. Kujo smiled. The main family of the Kujo family is just the two of us. As long as Mickey takes over the Kujo family, she can do whatever she wants. Kiyono only has this little request. It's a pity. The Kiyono that Mrs. Kujo was talking about was naturally Mrs. Kiyono. Even if Rin Kiyono hates liars and doesn't want to interact with them, would there be a problem with her taking over the Kujo family? Toru Watanabe asked. That child only interacts with her mother occasionally for 1 or 2 days. What do you think? As long as she's willing to take over, there will always be a way. Moreover, she can see through lies and is in a high position. The people below her must answer her questions. They can't lie to her. If only things were that simple. Mrs. Kujo sighed. But I didn't expect that you could make both sisters fall in love with you at the same time. It's not a big deal. I also fell in love with them at the same time. Just like the day when I was rowing at the top of the mountain? Mrs. Kujo was not surprised at all. Rowing at the top of the mountain? Yes, I fell in love at that time. I fell in love with the blue sky and the clear lake at the same time. After that, she smiled happily as if her prank had succeeded. She curiously asked, "Does Mickey know that you like her?" She knows. They quarrel every day. That's interesting. How did they quarrel? Do you love me? Love. Then do you love her more or me more? Love you, love you. These were the words they said in bed. Love me? Mrs. Kujo mischievously asked. Love you. Respectful love. That's what I mean. Mrs. Kujo blinked innocently. Does Koen Watanabe have other feelings for me? You are very charming if I don't know Mickey. Am I not charming after knowing Mickey? Do you think your mother is charming? Of course. Mrs. Kujo nodded innocently and said in a girlish tone. When mother was alive, I thought she was the most beautiful person in the world. I also admit that you are the most beautiful woman in the world, mother. Haha, little liar. Mrs. Kujo suddenly leaned over to Toru Watanabe's ear and whispered in her low and happy voice. I support everything about Mickey. So, if Koen Watanabe makes her angry, I will also stand on her side. Do you understand what mother means? I've always understood what you mean. No. Mrs. Kujo left Toru Watanabe and said with a smile. There are some things that you will never understand. I know more than you think. Toru Watanabe said. Mrs. Kujo glanced at his slightly smiling face and skipped the topic. But as long as you can satisfy Mickey, I will be satisfied with you. There will never be a situation where Mickey agrees that you have a lover, but I object. You already said that just now. I know. Mrs. Kujo blinked. It's just that this matter is very important to me, and you do have a lover, so I said it twice. You know as much as I thought. Of course. Mrs. Kujo smiled proudly. Mickey, this child, loves you to death. I dare not force her. If she also leaves home like Shaolin, I will cry. The song changed to the next song. Toru Watanabe stopped and let go of Mrs. Kujo. Before leaving the dance floor, Mrs. Kujo said one last sentence. Koen Watanabe, do you understand why I dance with you? No matter what, Mickey must inherit the Kujo family. When Seiji returned to the resting area, he saw that only Miki Kujo was there. Kyoko and her daughter were dancing. Rather than saying that they were dancing, it would be more accurate to say that the mother was coaxing her daughter, while secretly discussing something. As soon as Mrs. Cujo arrived at the lounge, she took a glass of red wine and immediately lay down on the long sofa as if she was tired. It was not elegant but sexy. Toru Watanabe sat next to Miki Cujo. "What are you two talking about?" she asked. "Koen Watanabe said that he loves me. I said that you are too young to do it." Mrs. Cujo sipped the red wine and said lightly. Miki Cujo turned to look at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe threw a blueberry into his mouth. "No woman can refuse my love. As my girlfriend, you should have such confidence." "Hey, wait." Mrs. Cujo stretched out her slender arm and lazily pointed at Toru Watanabe. "Don't include me." "What exactly did she say?" Miki Cujo asked. "Can you believe your mother's words? She warned me that I must satisfy you. Everything else is fine. She is afraid that I will kidnap you and learn bad things from Rin Kiyono, and not inherit the Cujo family. I was born to inherit the Cujo family. How can I give up my responsibility for you?" "My good girl Miki." Mrs. Cujo held her daughter's hand and smiled lazily. "Love goes beyond common sense and reason. It is madness. Women in love are even crazier. Even so, I can't think of anything that could happen between us that would make me give up the Cujo family." Miki Cujo reached out with her other hand and took the wine glass that was about to spill from her mother's hand. She placed it on the table. "The more you like someone, the more selfish and willful you will be. You will forget your family, your persistence, and your responsibility. You will only see yourself and the other person. I have even seen people who liked each other so much that they didn't even care about what the other person thought. Don't you think I am worried?" "Don't worry." Toru Watanabe answered on behalf of Miki Cujo. Miki Cujo glanced at him and wanted to withdraw her hand. However, Mrs. Cujo held it tightly. After a while, Kiyono and her daughter returned. "Are you drunk or did you dance? Or are you dizzy from dancing?" Mrs. Sano teased as she looked at Mrs. Cujo, who was about to fall asleep on the sofa. "I am drunk, I am drunk." Mrs. Cujo giggled and reached out her hand. "Help me to the bedroom. I want to sleep in your bed tonight." Mrs. Kiyono reached out and pulled her up. "We will go to bed first. You young people can talk," she said. "Let's take a shower together. We haven't done it together in a long time. Will you scrub my back?" After the two women left, the living room fell into silence. Only the vinyl record under the stylus was still playing the beautiful dance music. Unaware that the dance party was over, Rin Kiyono rubbed her temples. Her beautiful face was slightly tired. "Why did you suddenly quarrel?" Toru Watanabe asked. "It's not sudden." Rin Kiyono put down her hand and said calmly, "I have already expected the opposition and blame around me. No matter what, I am prepared." "Prepared?" Miki Cujo said sarcastically. "Since you were young, you never intended to compromise. You don't need to prepare at all." "Ah, Cujo-san knows me so well. Do you like me?" Rin Kiyono said with a smile. "If you kneel down and lick my feet, I can like you since you are so obedient." Rin Kiyono turned to look at Toru Watanabe. "What are you going to do?" "What am I going to do if Miki likes you?" Toru Watanabe grabbed the glass with lotus frogs printed on it. Rin Kiyono glanced at Toru Watanabe coldly, then smiled helplessly. "Forget it. There is still half a year. So, what are you going to do if Miki likes me?" Miki Cujo crossed her legs and looked at Rin Kiyono with a mean smile. She didn't interrupt this joking topic. Toru Watanabe put down his glass and sat up straight. With a serious expression, he got closer and said in a low voice, "Do you need me to teach you how to lick Miki's legs?" Rin Kiyono seemed to be very surprised and stood there blankly. Kujio Miyoshi laughed as she swayed her legs from side to side. P.S. Thank you to Kanna Arima for another League Master. This is already the third League Master. I will continue writing until midnight. I will write as much as I can. Anyway, I will finish this chapter before the 20th. Chapter 286. When the needle left the vinyl record, and only the sound of the waves on Tokyo Bay remained, the three of them got up and left the palace-like building. Back at the garden villa in Kanda, Toru Watanabe lay directly on Miki Kujo's soft bed. You haven't bathed for a day, don't lie on my bed, hurry up and take a shower. Miki Kujo walked into the bedroom. Wait a minute. Toru Watanabe reached out and grabbed her. With a little force, he pulled her onto the bed and held her in his arms. Hurry up and take a shower. Miki Kujo urged. Let's kiss for a while. As soon as the words left his mouth, his lips found hers. Miki Kujo gently closed her eyes. The night was quiet, the light was soft, and they could hear the sound of the wind blowing the leaves in the garden outside the window. Their lips separated. Miki Kujo stroked Toru Watanabe's face, and the two of them looked at each other for a while without saying a word. Just now Rin Kiyono asked you. Why didn't you tell her that you support her? She suddenly asked. She doesn't need anyone's support. Toru Watanabe put his hand on Miki Kujo's slender waist. Some things don't need to be said. She just had a dispute with her mother, who hasn't quarreled with their parents. Miki Kujo didn't say a word, motioning him to continue. I deliberately changed the topic just now to distract the attention. I don't want the atmosphere to be oppressive because of the quarrel. That's all I can do now. It's not time for me to support her. You care about her a lot. Part of it is because of this, part of it is not. I hope that my life, no matter what life is like, no matter how big the setbacks I encounter, can always maintain a relaxed atmosphere. After that, Toru Watanabe grabbed Miki Kujo's hand on his face and said, Do you know how I managed to survive under your threat when we first started dating? Tell me about it. Miki Kujo chuckled. When I read fitness books, I always thought to myself, the goal isn't to lose weight, become beautiful, or seduce beautiful girls, but to persevere in the things that I've always hated and not been good at. Miki Kujo, you have no idea how much I hate you. Miki Kujo smiled happily. What else? She asked with interest. This is your first time in the Human Observation Department. Toru Watanabe smiled. Yes. You suggested voting to elect a minister, but I didn't agree. After school, you beat me up in the car and even asked me to take off your shoes and stockings. At that time, as I was taking them off, I comforted myself. It's okay, I'm taking advantage of you. I'm taking advantage of you. Didn't you take advantage of me? You're mine to begin with. How can that be considered taking advantage of me? Toru Watanabe's hand slid down her waist and caressed her slender, beautiful legs through her luxurious gown. That's all I can say for now. But if you could go back in time, there's an 80% chance that you wouldn't come to Imperial Tea. Miki Kujo teased him half-jokingly. I might have hesitated before the family trip, but I'll definitely go now. Are you trying to coax me again? The two of us went on a trip to Aizu and soaked in hot springs together at night. At that time, I thought that it would be great if we could always be like this. I would occasionally have such thoughts in the past, but now they're my thoughts. Toru Watanabe ran his hands through her beautiful black hair and held her delicate and charming face. He looked into her clear and charming eyes and whispered softly, Miki, no matter how many ifs there are, there's one thing that will never change. You're definitely mine. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe and replied in a soft voice. Then I'll also tell you, whether you go to Imperial Tea or not. Even if I have to threaten you with your family, I'll still have you. The two of them kissed again. Between their lips, they conveyed a strong will to each other. You're mine, you have to be mine. At some point, the two of them separated. Kissing like this, your mouth will definitely be swollen tomorrow. Toru Watanabe whispered with a chuckle. Let's see who's swollen. Miki Kujo hugged his head and the two of them kissed again. Miki, I love you more and more. Toru Watanabe whispered to her after they separated again. I've already loved you to the limit. Miki Kujo whispered back. Toru Watanabe was savoring every minute and second of this moment. He suddenly thought of something and couldn't help but laugh. What's the matter? Miki Kujo asked him curiously. When I'm with you, there's a sense of depravity. Depravity? Think about it. Who are you? The princess of the Kujo family. What have you done? Exploitation and murder. I'm just a poor boy from the countryside. I'm smart, my grades are the best in the country, and I'm self-disciplined and hardworking. I can enjoy a wealthy life, and I can also stand under the scorching sun and hold up billboards. I'm the most outstanding person among the commoners. I should have overthrown you and taken back the rights of the commoners from your hands. But now we're lying on the same bed. Your will isn't strong enough. You're looking down on me? I'm infiltrating the enemy's ranks. Toru Watanabe reached his hand into her dress. Miki Kujo clamped her legs together. Toru Watanabe didn't insist on taking a step closer. I don't think it's funny, she asked. The funny part is the way I talk to people later. What does that have to do with the way you talk? My original words to you were like this. Evil person, demon girl, the dregs of the old era, let me sum you up. Then you laughed wildly. Haha, do you think I'm an idiot? Toru Watanabe was amused by her, and Miki Kujo also laughed. Let me finish. With a serious face, he pinched her thigh. You laughed wildly and said, the Kujo family is a noble family of destiny. You're just an ant, and you want to resist me? Kneel down. That's possible. Miki Kujo personally approved of Watanabe's portrayal of her character. Facing the great villain of the Kujo family, my face was resolute. Once, twice, even if I fail, justice will prevail. We'll advance, wave after wave, and never stop. Even if I die, I'll take you down with me. Then the two of us will die together. Third-rate script. Miki Kujo said, that's before. What about now? Now, I represent the nobles and stand in front of the commoners. I raise my spear of supreme wisdom, the iron hammer of hard work, and in the holy voice of self-discipline, I say to those who try to break the hierarchy, disobedient person, and who dares to challenge authority, do you have any last words? Miki Kujo chuckled. Toru Watanabe's tone changed with the story. It was very interesting. How is it? Toru Watanabe said proudly. Miki Kujo pretended to ponder. My dear Toru, I think it's about time for you to graduate from middle school. Are you looking down on me? Toru Watanabe turned over and pressed on top of the great villain of the Kujo family, tickling her. Ahaha, what are you doing? Let go. Miki Kujo couldn't help but laugh. She protected herself with both hands and twisted her body to avoid him. You evil witch, let me purify you. Disobedient person, how dare you? Ha ha ha. Let go, stop, I admit defeat, the entire Kujo family is yours. The victory of justice. Toru Watanabe stopped. Miki Kujo panted, her eyes watery. She caught her breath and suddenly flipped over, riding on Toru Watanabe's waist and pressing him under her body. Disobedient person, Toru Watanabe, do you have any last words before you die? She licked her red and seductive lips, revealing a cruel and sinister smile. I'm not married yet, at least let me have descendants. As the successor of the Kujo family, I agree to your request. Miki Kujo leaned over, biting Toru Watanabe's lips, wanting to eat his tongue. The next morning, Toru Watanabe came back from his morning run in the Kokyo, and stood in the garden playing with the Empress. This bird came to Tokyo from the mountains, and it was not at all uncomfortable. It was not afraid of people at all. None of the servants in the villa were in its eyes. Miki Kujo made a nest for it by the window of the study on the second floor. While it was sheltered from the wind and rain, it could fly out if it wanted to. Its range of activity was limited to the garden. When Miki Kujo woke up, the two sat together to eat breakfast. What about the rose I gave you last time? Toru Watanabe asked. He directly gave the rose of love, as a reward for a year to Miki Kujo. Except for the brief introduction given by the system, he didn't know what it was used for. Planted it in the garden. There's nothing magical about it. What's magical about it? Miki Kujo asked. I'm asking you. I also want to ask you, in order to plant the rose, you specifically asked me to draw blood. It will be useful. Toru Watanabe finished his meal, lazily leaned on the chair, and drank the milk contentedly. You don't know? If I know, I can't tell you. Then how did you get these things? If I can tell you, why wouldn't I tell you? Miki Kujo stared at him while eating the last few bites. After eating, she put down the tableware, picked up the napkin and elegantly wiped her mouth. What are your plans today? Not at the moment. What about you? I have classes, of course I have to work on weekends. Can I stay with you? Toru Watanabe said. Go accompany your two lovers. Miki Kujo put down the napkin and drank tea. That Aona Koizumi's birthday on Monday? Yes. What gift should I give her? Miki Kujo held the teacup and looked at Toru Watanabe with a smile. You've already given her the best gift. Miki Kujo didn't comment. What did you give her? Toru Watanabe put down the empty glass of milk and fingers on his earlobe. Earrings. I'll say this up front. Don't say that I'm unreasonable later. Jewelry, a house, whatever, if they dare to give her a ring, I'll cut off their fingers. Miki Kujo sneered. The gentle and joking Miki Kujo only existed in a bed with only the two of them. Well, it's best to say it like this. I'm afraid that all the emotions in my heart will suddenly explode. Toru Watanabe said. Is there anything else? About the child? Miki Kujo took a sip of tea. I don't want to say something cruel to you, but you know it yourself. Can't have children before you? I'm letting you raise them because I owe you twice, but it doesn't mean that I'll tolerate them being unscrupulous. Actually, it's not a big deal. Toru Watanabe said. Husband and wife need to tolerate and accommodate each other in order to survive, not to mention that our situation is so complicated. It's either you take a step back, I take a step back, or they take a step back. My senpai and Koizumi, sensei don't want to fight for more, so there's no problem at all. Miki, you've already given them enough. Miki Kujo glanced at him and put down the teacup. Well, for Aona Koizumi's birthday, just give her a gift on my behalf. Toru Watanabe sat up slightly and looked at her in disbelief. Husband and wife need to tolerate each other. I'll accommodate you and not make things difficult for you. So don't let me down. Are you still thinking about what Rin Kiyono said last night? You too, Miki Kujo sneered. One person believes that the other person will definitely support her. The other person believes that support is not just words, but actions. My support doesn't include agreeing to marry into Kiyono's family. Toru Watanabe hurriedly explained. If you did, I would have bitten off your tongue last night. By the way, Miki, you know Rin Kiyono very well. By the way, last night you didn't tell me what happened when you were a child. I'll tell you next time when I remember. After breakfast, Miki Kujo went to work, and Toru Watanabe went out. As he went to the Kamibocho station, he walked into one bookstore after another on the roadside. When he was in a small bookstore called Guangwengguan opposite the station, he received a message from Aona Koizumi. I've arrived at the hot sea. Is it fun? There's free foot-soaking soup at the station. No wonder it's the #1 hot spring in Japan. Sensei, please give me a picture of Sensei soaking your feet. This is the only request I'll make in my life. Toru Watanabe laughed. He liked legs, not feet. It was a joke. The hot sea was in Aizu. 2 days before the end of spring break, he went to Hujin with Miki Kujo to admire the cherry blossoms. At night, he even played with a dancer. But he didn't go to the hot sea. After walking around the bookstore, Toru Watanabe came to the magazine section. He picked up a magazine about the recommended tourist attractions in June. The cover of the magazine was of Okinawa, and it introduced Kamakura Hydrangea, Aizu Onsen, Hokkaido Furano, and other places. He turned to the article on Aizu and looked at it page by page. The picture of the hot sea, the blue sky, the wide and empty seaside road, and the tall palm trees on both sides of the road. It didn't look like Japan at all. If he had to say, it looked like Hawaii. Buzz, Toru Watanabe took out his vibrating mobile phone and looked at it. It was 3 female teachers with their legs in the hot spring with their pants rolled up. Because she was shy and didn't want to take the picture alone, she took a picture with her 2 best friends. After saying thank you for your hospitality, Toru Watanabe sent a geisha emoji with both hands on the ground. Aona Koizumi was so shy that she didn't know what to say. Toru Watanabe put away his mobile phone and picked up a book about the hot sea. He paid at the counter, walked across the zebra crossing, and took the Shinjuku line back to Shinjuku. There were no seats near the door, but the middle of the bench was empty. Japan was somewhat like China in this regard. They didn't like conspicuous seats, and the seats near the door were usually the first to be taken. Confucian culture circle. He sighed in his heart and walked over to sit down. The tram shook, and he took out the book he just bought and started to read. An idea suddenly popped up in his mind when he was changing trains at Shigaya. He didn't want to go back to Shinjuku. He wanted to go to the hot sea and secretly see Aona Koizumi as a birthday surprise for her. P.S. When he clicked publish, he heard fate is humorous, but I have too many ideas. It's not up to me. I like this sentence very much. Share it with everyone. Chapter 287. Toru Watanabe turned around and got on the Central Line. When he arrived at Tokyo Station, he booked a ticket for the next Shinkansen train to the hot sea. The train would depart at 10:10, so there was still some time. He wanted to sit down and read a book, but it would take 2 hours to get to the hot sea. If he read a book, he would have nothing to pass the time. So after some thought, he decided to stroll around the station. Bro, do you want to play together? Handsome, do you want to go to Kamakura? They're all girls. Hello, I'm Amama-san from the Ginza Male Escort Club. Do you have any plans to work part-time? When he passed by the supermarket, Toru Watanabe bought a mask. Even so, the women walking towards him would still subconsciously look at him, but they would try to hit on him less. There were many people who looked good wearing masks, and the chances of them looking ugly without them were also high. After putting on his mask, he put his hands in the pockets of his red and black baseball uniform, which was Miki Kujo's preference. He went to the station's newspaper stand. The first thing he saw was a pornographic magazine with a sign saying, "Available today." The cover was of various women wearing underwear of various colors, and all of them had large breasts. Toru Watanabe bought Weekly One-chun and sat on the bench waiting for the train. The headline was about a popular male voice actor and a popular female voice actor embracing on the street in the middle of the night. The composition of the photo was quite exquisite. There were roses in May, exquisite street lights, and the two people embracing each other under the dim yellow light. Was this really not a photo shoot? Toru Watanabe glanced at it. The male voice actor's back was facing the camera, so he couldn't see his face clearly, but the female voice actor was very familiar. My heart is broken. That's it, sigh. He flipped to the back and saw a report about coaxing his girlfriend. He immediately threw the female voice actor on the street that May night. When a girl says you're so cute, the answer is yes, but my girlfriend is cuter. Toru Watanabe memorized this sentence in his heart. He was about to continue reading when the station announced the boarding of the train. He got on the train and sat down by the window. He took out a book and started reading. When the waiter in the train pushed the cart over, he bought a cup of coffee. After drinking coffee, he temporarily took off his mask. The two women wearing masks opposite him looked over, but they didn't talk to him. While drinking coffee, Toru Watanabe looked out of the window. He didn't know where he was. On his left was the sea, and on his right was Mount Fuji. The tram sped in the direction of Aizu. In early June, when the plum rain had not yet arrived, the weather was clear and warm, and the sea was sparkling under the sun. What kind of expression would Aona Koizumi have then? Should he search for her aimlessly in a small city like the thermal sea? Or should he secretly inform her in advance? With the warm coffee, the weight of the book on his knees, the sea, Mount Fuji, and the fast train, Toru Watanabe enjoyed the comfort of life. After drinking a third of the coffee, he collected his thoughts and placed the paper cup by the window. Before he lowered his head to read, he looked up at the two female passengers who had been communicating with each other with their eyes since the beginning. He glanced at it and lowered his head to continue reading. Wait a minute. Excuse me, can I take a picture with you? He asked. The two female passengers exchanged glances before nodding at Toru Watanabe. Sure. Toru Watanabe took out his phone and took a photo with the car window, the coffee cup, and the Aizu Sea as the background. Thank you very much. You're welcome. The two seemed to want to say something else, but Toru Watanabe had already lowered his head and started playing with his phone. Uncle Koi Fan Group. The original game group, the name of the group has been changed many times. Group photo. JPG, Toru Watanabe. Aoyachiki. Osamu Kanai. This is? Osamu Kanai. This is? Toru Watanabe. Aoyachiki. Takahashi Lee and Ueda Lina. Osamu Kanai. Where are you? Wait for me, I'll go now. Osamu Kanai. Aren't you going to train? What about Koshien? Toru Watanabe. Where are you? Tell me. Osamu Kanai. Toaizu Shinkansen. Toru Watanabe. Damn it. I heard the two of them on the radio recently. They said they were going to do an outdoor CD of Aizu. You actually met them, sat together, and even took a picture with them. Ah. Osamu Kanai. Who are Takahashi Lee and Ueda Lina? Aoi Ichiki. Takahashi Lee is Keihui from Blessings for a Better World. Amelia from Ri. A Life in a Different World from Zero. And Takagi from Takagi Classmate who's good at pranking people. Osamu Kanai. Ueda Lina is Akane Shinjo from SSSS. Gridman. And Angel came to my side. Hoshino Miyako, Kunijing Osamu. Koen Watanabe. Who are these people? Actors? Aoi Ichiki, voice actor. Toru Watanabe. Oh, I understand. Actually, there isn't. Aoi Ichiki. What did I miss? Keisuke Saito. Watanabe. Help me ask them if they're willing to dub voices for my World's Most Beautiful Girl game. Keisuke Saito. I remember that Watanabe's light novels have a lot of dirty lines. Hurry up and grab this opportunity. Use your beauty trap. Osamu Kanai. Koen Watanabe wrote a light novel? I want to read it. I'll recommend it to the girls in my class, the band, and my family. Aoi Ichiki. My phone ran out of gas, goodbye. Toru Watanabe. He took a sip of coffee from his paper cup by the window. The sea suddenly disappeared, and the train entered a dark tunnel. After passing through the tunnel, he saw the blue sea again, and this repeated several times. When they arrived at Aizu Station, Amelia and Akane Shinjo waved at Toru Watanabe and disappeared into the sea of people. After a while, the train disappeared, and the platform became empty again. Pigeons landed on the brown railroad tracks. The sun was shining brightly, and the shadow of the canopy split the platform in half. The two rows of chairs facing away from each other also happened to be split in half. Toru Watanabe sat on a long bench that could bask in the sun. The book he finished reading and his mask were placed next to him. He leaned against the back of the chair with his hands in the pockets of his baseball uniform. His legs were stretched out and crossed at the ankles as he waited for the train to finish. Reihai was a small city built on a hill. There were many slopes leading up and down. After sending Toru Watanabe a picture of her soaking her feet at the train station, Anna Koizumi leisurely ran around for a while. She put on her socks and left the train station together with Kano and Miyuki. Outside the station was a hot spring street with all kinds of snacks, goods, and hot spring hotels. One thing that was very interesting was that the pot in the snack shop kept emitting white steam. However, when they reached the next hot spring, the three of them saw that it was just a hot spring on the side of the road that no one cared about. Do you think they're using the steam from the hot spring to make snacks? Akane asked curiously. Can the hot spring be drunk? Aona Koizumi looked at the school doctor, Miyazaki Miyuki. I'm not a geologist. How would I know? Miyazaki Miyuki said, but you can take a bath in the hot spring. It's probably like toothpaste for brushing your teeth. It's best not to eat it, but it's fine to eat a little. Let's ask Watanabe. Aona Koizumi took out her phone. Why don't you ask Google? You just want to take the opportunity to contact your little lover. Akane snorted. No. Aona Koizumi put away her phone with a red face. Okay, let's go to the hotel to put down our luggage, and then have fun empty-handed. Miyazaki Miyuki quickened her pace. Akane and Aona Koizumi quickened their pace to catch up. Accustomed to the busiest streets of Tokyo, the three of them wandered through the nameless alleys of the city. It was a different kind of fun. At noon, when they were tired of strolling, the three of them ate at a restaurant with a view of the sea. After ordering various fish sashimi platters, Akane covered half of her face and whispered to the two of them. Want to be extravagant? What's good to eat? Miyazaki Miyuki sat at the seat closest to the window and secretly placed her breasts on the table. She was really tired. Braised goldfish. Akane's expression was serious. One whole fish. How much is it? Aona Koizumi whispered as she poured tea for the three of them. 10,000 renminbi. Okay. Aona Koizumi placed the teacups in front of the three of them one by one. I'm a little reluctant. Just try it once in a while. Akane said coquettishly. It's not like every trip and every meal is this expensive. I hope that's the case. Don't say this is only the second time. Buying an apartment doesn't make a difference at all next time. Miyazaki Miyuki picked up the teacup. You agree? Akane confirmed happily. What about Aonai? Then let's order. Aona Koizumi said with a smile. One more braised goldfish. That's all, thank you. Akane said to the waiter. Okay, please wait a moment. After the waiter left, Akane sat cross-legged on the tatami and said while drinking tea. Aonai, didn't Watanabe give you money? Why would he give me money? Aona Koizumi asked curiously. Last night, my Asahi came for dinner. Didn't she say it herself? Watanabe bought her an apartment and gave her 500 million renminbi. Why wouldn't he give you money? My Asahi cut off all ties with her family and lived alone. Watanabe gave her money to make her feel at ease. I have a job, parents, and you guys. I don't need these things. You really don't feel unbalanced at all? Miyazaki Miyuki asked. Of course a little, but I don't have to. Aona Koizumi said with a smile. I still want to rely on myself now. When I have a child in the future, I'll definitely ask him to pay for it. Ho-ho, child. Akane snickered. Do you want to start buying baby clothes, strollers, and toys? It's still early. Aona Koizumi blushed and then couldn't help but say, let's go buy them together. Together with Toru Watanabe and two of her best friends, the four of them would buy clothes for the child. Everyone could choose what to buy. How happy it was. She wanted this future to come sooner, but she also wanted it to come later. Just thinking about it made her happy every day. It's your own business whether you want to have a child or not. But since you've decided to have one, it's best to do it before you're 30, Miyazaki Miyuki said. Why? Is there a medical theory? Aona Koizumi asked. The best age for women to give birth is 23 to 30, and for men, 30 to 35, Miyazaki Miyuki explained. Aonai's 26, so there are still 4 years to go. Watanabe is 17 this year. For years later, he'll only be 21, Akane said. When he's 30, Aonai will be 39, Miyazaki Miyuki said. This is the best age for giving birth. It's fine even if it's not at this age. It's just that Aonai has already confirmed that she's going to give birth. That's why I suggest we do it before she's 30. Aona Koizumi nodded seriously. I'll discuss it with Watanabe. You two have already done it? Akane asked. No. No matter what, we have to wait until he graduates. Aona Koizumi said hurriedly. Miki Kujo and my Asahi have already done it with him. Be careful not to be left out. Akane said with a smile. Watanabe isn't that kind of person. He's a man too. Miyazaki Miyuki took a sip of tea and sighed contentedly. There's no man who doesn't want a woman's body. Aona Koizumi was about to say something when the waiter came over with a tray. The three of them turned their attention back to the dishes. The braised gold eye snapper, priced at 10,000 yen, was placed in a large white porcelain bowl. Half of the fish was soaked in black soup with shredded ginger sprinkled on top. Let me try the first bite. Akane held the bowl in her left hand and the chopsticks in her right. She licked her lips and said impatiently. Aona Koizumi and Miyazaki Miyuki laughed as they looked at her exaggerated posture of tasting. Delicious. You guys eat too. The three of them ate happily. Midway, they talked about the name of the child's appearance, where to go after eating, and other random topics. Buzz, the phone beside her vibrated and the screen lit up. Aona Koizumi didn't put down her chopsticks. She tilted her head slightly and looked at it. It was a message from Toru Watanabe. She hurriedly put down her chopsticks, wiped her hands with a wet towel, and unlocked the screen. It was a picture of a sunny day, clean streets, and a Shiba Inu smiling at the screen. Cute. After replying, she sent the picture of the gold eye snapper. 10,000 grams of gold eye snapper, delicious. Toru Watanabe sent another picture. This time he appeared in person, holding an egg with a bite in his hand. 100 grams of hot spring egg. Originally it was quite delicious, but after seeing 10,000 grams of gold eye snapper, it doesn't taste good anymore. Koizumi Aonai smiled and quickly entered the text. What's a silly smile for? Akane looked over. Nothing. Aona Koizumi stopped smiling and pretended as if nothing had happened. Something about a teenager, Miyazaki Miyuki said casually. I see. Akane Koizumi's tone was rhythmic. Aona Koizumi tried her best to keep a straight face and not say anything, but after a few seconds, she couldn't help but laugh again when she thought about what she had just talked about with Toru Watanabe. Once she started laughing, she couldn't stop. She finally put down her chopsticks and buried her face in her arms. Akane Koizumi and Miyazaki Miyuki didn't know what was going on, but they were inexplicably affected and laughed as well. What's so funny? Miyazaki Miyuki asked. No, nothing. Aona Koizumi tried her best not to laugh. What are you laughing about? Akane Koizumi laughed. I'm not laughing, I'm not laughing. Aona Koizumi took a deep breath and looked up. When she saw that both of them were laughing, she couldn't help but laugh again. When she laughed, the other two laughed as well. Stop laughing. If you guys don't laugh, I won't laugh. Eat properly. Ha ha ha. The three young girls laughed so hard that they buried their faces in their arms and rocked back and forth. The customers in the restaurant either looked at them strangely or laughed along with them. I'm not laughing, I'm not laughing. Akane Koizumi clutched her stomach. My stomach hurts. The three of them took a deep breath and finally got rid of the infection of the laughter. Aona Koizumi calmed down and looked at her phone again. Teacher is laughing so happily. Aona Koizumi exclaimed. What's wrong this time? Akane Koizumi asked. Nothing. Aona Koizumi replied as she quickly typed on her phone. How did you know? I saw it. The three of them surrounded the golden-eyed snapper and laughed for a long time. Aona Koizumi quickly looked around the restaurant, and then looked out the window. She didn't see Toru Watanabe's figure. You guessed. I saw it. I saw it. You came to the hot sea? I saw it. Teacher, guess. Anai, hurry up and eat. We still have to go to the shrine of Tangzen later. Akane Koizumi urged. Oh, okay. Until the end of the meal, Aona Koizumi was still wondering if Toru Watanabe had really come to the hot sea. After leaving the seaside restaurant, they left the coast and walked towards the city. It was a small uphill road. She walked a little and looked back. There was only the sea behind her. She walked a little and looked back again. There was only the sea behind her. It was just a guess. Aona Koizumi was slightly disappointed. Aonai. Aonai. Akane Koizumi shook her arm. What's wrong? She came back to her senses. Look in front. Is there any scenic spot here? Aona Koizumi looked up the slope. The sun was shining brightly and the sky was blue. At the corner of the slope, a person was slowly walking down the slope and slowly appeared in front of the three of them. He was wearing a red and black baseball uniform with short sleeves. He wasn't holding anything in his hands. He stood on the slope with his hands in the pockets of his baseball uniform. He smiled and said, What a coincidence. The young man under the sun had a handsome and delicate face. His clear and melodious voice, his intimate and mischievous eyes, and his bright and charming smile. The three female teachers held their breath. Koizumi Aonai's heart was corroded and riddled with holes. P.S. Thank you to Kanna Arima for being the 4th and 5th League Masters. Chapter 288. On the way, on the sunny day, on the slope by the hot sea, she met her sweetheart at the corner of the corner. Aona Koizumi wanted to run to Toru Watanabe, but in the end, she just walked over quickly. Aona Koizumi wanted to crawl into Toru Watanabe's arms, but in the end, she restrained herself. Why are you here? She couldn't help but smile. To see you. When their eyes met, Toru Watanabe naturally reached out and wanted to hug her. No. Aona Koizumi stopped him in a low voice. Why not? At this moment, Aona Koizumi didn't need any gentleness, but a kind of strength that couldn't be denied. This thought popped up in Toru Watanabe's mind. It had been like this from the beginning. Whether it was facing Miki Kujo, Rin Kiyono, Mayasahi, or even the two wives or any other woman, he always knew what the other party really wanted him to do, and to what extent he could do to make the other party happy. Was this self-righteousness? Or was this called good perception? Toru Watanabe used a little force, and Aona Koizumi only resisted slightly, as if she couldn't resist some kind of suction force, and fell into his arms. It was the chest of a teenager who could satisfy all the fantasies a woman had of the opposite sex. Aona Koizumi's fair little hand gently grabbed his baseball uniform, feeling the fresh breath of his body, and was immersed in happiness. The sun shone on the side of her face, and the side of her face leaned on Toru Watanabe's chest. Aona Koizumi closed her eyes just like that. After what seemed like a long time, or as if she had just closed her eyes, footsteps came from behind. "How long are you two going to hug each other?" Miyuki Miyazaki teased. "We've been standing here like idiots for 10 minutes. Huangzi pretended to be dissatisfied. 10 minutes? It's already been 10 minutes? Aona Koizumi suddenly woke up and hurriedly left Toru Watanabe's embrace. Just as her body moved away from the wind energy, she was hugged back again. "Forget it, he's the one who won't let me go." Aona Koizumi continued to laze in her lover's arms. "It's only been 2 minutes. Where did 10 minutes come from?" Toru Watanabe's voice came from above. As he spoke, his chest rose and fell slightly. One could feel the vibrations. The two of them were so close to each other. Upon realizing this fact, Aona Koizumi felt an indescribable sweetness and happiness. "If you don't leave now, someone's coming," Miyazaki Miyuki reminded. At this moment, Aona Koizumi finally made up her mind. No matter how hard Toru Watanabe tried, she had to leave his embrace. She placed her hands on his chest and pushed, but was pushed back again. "This is the hot sea, not Tokyo. It doesn't matter if we're seen." Aona Koizumi buried her face in Toru Watanabe's chest and wrapped her arms around his waist as if she had completely given up. Indeed, there were unfamiliar footsteps approaching. The closer the footsteps were, the deeper she buried her face. When the footsteps began to weaken and disappear, she finally left Toru Watanabe reluctantly. The four of them stood on the sunny slope and chatted. Behind them was the blue sea. "Did my sudden arrival disturb you?" Toru Watanabe asked. Time spent with lovers was important, but it could not replace time spent with friends. "No." Aona Koizumi shook her head lightly. To be able to meet the person she liked, to be able to spend time with Toru Watanabe, even if it was just for 2 minutes. "You sure have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. I can't believe you snuck into the hot sea." Huangzi crossed his arms and nodded in approval. "But don't appear like this next time," Miyazaki Miyuki said. "Huangzi and I are just unmarried girls in our 20s. It's easy for us to dream at night. Don't drag me into this, idiot." Huangzi blushed. "Who would be interested in a second-year brat?" "There." Miyazaki Miyuki pointed at Aona Koizumi. "This. Aonai, I'm not talking about you. What I mean is, you know what I mean, right? You know what I'm talking about, right?" Huangzi did not know what he was talking about. "It's all right," Toru Watanabe answered on behalf of Aona Koizumi. "Actually, Koizumi, sensei fell in love with me when she was 16. Isn't that right, sensei?" Faced with Toru Watanabe's mischievous gaze, Aona Koizumi's eyes rippled with sweetness and coquettishness. 16 years old. Huangzi was shocked. "How old were you at that time?" "She's 26 now. 10 years ago. That means you were 7 years old? Aonai, you like Shota? What nonsense." Aona Koizumi scolded. "Watanabe and I are just a normal sibling love, right, Watanabe?" She looked at Toru Watanabe with the dignified expression of a teacher. "Compared to a sibling love, I prefer a teacher-student relationship," Toru Watanabe said with a smile. High school students yearn for a young female teacher. This is a normal physiological phenomenon. Miyazaki Miyuki nodded. "Aonai, it seems that even if you don't do it with him, you still have an advantage." "Do it." "Do what?" Toru Watanabe asked innocently. "Miyuki." Aona Koizumi was about to stomp her feet. "Watanabe boy." Huangzi patted Toru Watanabe's shoulder. "Do you want to hear Aonai's plan for your future?" "I came all the way from Tokyo to Hot Sea to listen to this." "Don't say it." Aona Koizumi wanted to cover Huangzi's mouth. Huangzi gently turned her body. and the two of them played hide and seek around Toru Watanabe. She said that she's not jealous that you bought an apartment for my Asahi and gave her money, Huangzi said while dodging. When she has a child in the future, she will ask you for money to raise the child. She also wants to buy a crib together. Aya. Up to you. Aona Koizumi gave up trying to catch Huangzi. She blushed and peeked at Toru Watanabe's expression. Toru Watanabe listened carefully and occasionally looked at her. Don't keep standing here, Miyazaki Miyuki interrupted Huangzi. Let's talk while walking. Where are we going? Toru Watanabe asked. Tangzen Shrine, Aona Koizumi answered. Then, she suddenly remembered something and asked, Did you just come here? Did you go to the Kinshui Park? Not yet, I was just about to go there to find you. Then let's go back again. Aona Koizumi turned to look at her two best friends. Can we? Of course, Huangzi said without hesitation. Miyazaki Miyuki also nodded and said, Anyway, we don't have a destination to go to, and we're not in a hurry. Let's go see the sea. Let's go, Aona Koizumi said happily to Toru Watanabe. Okay. The four of them walked down the slope together, ready to return to the sea. When they went down the slope, Aona Koizumi finally sobered up a little. Thinking of the hug when they first met, she was very ashamed of her careless behavior, but she was also greedy for the sweetness of that moment. When they reached the bottom of the slope, the beach was right across from the zebra crossing. The four of them split into two groups and laughed as they walked across the zebra crossing. At the end of the zebra crossing, there was a wide-angle mirror. Aona Koizumi looked up. In the wide-angle mirror, Miyuki and Huangzi were walking away, and standing in the middle was a beautiful and happy woman and a handsome boy. The woman was wearing a long dress with an elegant cardigan on the outside. The boy was wearing a red and black baseball uniform with dark blue pants. He looked very young, handsome, and fashionable. Do I look a little too big standing next to him? Perhaps Miki Kujo is the most suitable person to stand next to him. The four of them arrived at the Kinshui Park. There were old people and dogs sunbathing together, couples strolling along the waves, single men feeding seagulls, and many white yachts docked by the beach. It was a peaceful and comfortable beach. You two go take a walk around. Huangzi and I will rest here, Miyuki said. She sat down on a bench under a tall palm tree. Let's go together? Aona Koizumi said awkwardly. Didn't we just rest? Go on. Huangzi pushed her towards Toru Watanabe. Their shoulders touched, and Aona Koizumi secretly glanced at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe was also looking at her. Then, Aona Koizumi tried to use a normal tone. I'll take Watanabe for a walk and then come back. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Miyuki said casually. Aona Koizumi led Toru Watanabe to the beach. Actually, there wasn't much to walk around, as they could see everything clearly. The two of them simply walked around the beach. But even so, even if it was only the second time, Aona Koizumi was still filled with joy. If it wasn't for her best friend watching from afar, she would have taken small steps. I'm so happy. She couldn't help but say. What's the good news? Why are you so happy? Toru Watanabe asked. Of course, she couldn't directly say, I'm happy to be with you. After all, he was a teacher. I said they're so happy. Aona Koizumi pointed at the children who were throwing stones into the water. A group of children took off their shoes and coats, and placed them on the pile of stones. They rolled up their pants and stepped on the waves, competing to see who could throw stones further. It was just throwing stones, but they were having so much fun. They're so cute. Aona Koizumi couldn't help but say, yeah, but my girlfriend is cuter. Toru Watanabe had been waiting for a long time. Aona Koizumi turned to look at him. She didn't look happy or shy. She retracted her gaze and looked at the group of children again. Kujo-san is really cute. Toru Watanabe held his right hand with his left hand, and his right hand under his chin. He imitated Rin Kiyono's tone and said, I see. What's wrong? Aona Koizumi asked. What you learn from books must be combined with reality. Since you have 3 girlfriends, it's better to be specific about which one you have. What are you talking about? Ah. Aona Koizumi finally reacted. She understood that the girlfriend Toru Watanabe was talking about was her. The person cuter than the children was also her. She blushed and looked at the coastline in the distance. The undulating waves, the blue sea, and the accumulated white clouds. "This is my first time walking with a boy," she said softly. "Teacher." Toru Watanabe turned his head and slowly moved his face closer to hers. "Your first time is all mine." "Yeah." Aona Koizumi lowered her face, then immediately raised it again. "Didn't I agree? You have to wait until after graduation. Don't think about it the wrong way. Yeah, I want to eat braised goldeneye snapper. Now." Aona Koizumi looked in the direction of the seaside restaurant, then turned back and looked at Toru Watanabe. "Tell Miyuki and the others that I'll accompany you." She couldn't continue. Toru Watanabe's face was already very, very close to hers. Their footsteps became slower and slower until they finally stopped. "Do Watanabe? They're watching." She didn't even dare to open her lips normally. She only opened them a little, afraid that they would be invaded. "Teacher." Even though she was mumbling, her lips were still occupied by him in the end. After some time, the two of them separated. "It's delicious." Amidst the sound of the waves, she vaguely heard Toru Watanabe's voice. "It's juicy, very tender, and light braised goldeneye snapper. I like it." Aona Koizumi bit her lower lip and glared at him with watery eyes. "Bad boy." That was the angriest thing she could say right now. After the two of them left, Huangzi sat down beside Miyuki. A flock of fearless seagulls surrounded their feet, waiting for them to feed them. "Anai was still pretending to invite us just now. Look at her now," Huangzi said disdainfully. Miyuki watched the two of them walking on the beach. Aona Koizumi's steps were lighter than usual. Her skirt fluttered in the sea breeze. Just by looking at her back, one could tell how happy she was right now. "The young man's head is getting closer and closer. He's about to be kissed," she said. Really?" Huangzi hurriedly took out her cell phone. She aimed the camera at the two of them, and turned the magnification to the maximum. After waiting for a while, she held her cell phone with one hand, and excitedly pulled Miyuki's sleeve with the other. He kissed? I saw it." Miyuki grabbed her shoulder to prevent her clothes from slipping off her shoulders. "Wow. Tongue taste. Disgusting," Huangzi said, but she couldn't take her eyes off them. She was enjoying it. When the two of them returned, Huangzi kept smiling at Aona Koizumi, who was pretending nothing happened. Her face quickly turned red. The four of them weren't in a hurry to leave the beach. They sat together on the chairs under the palm tree and looked at the beach. "I feel like we can stay like this for the whole afternoon." Aona Koizumi was enjoying the sea breeze. "Sure, no problem. It doesn't matter," Toru Watanabe said. Aona Koizumi suddenly remembered what happened 10 years ago, or this April. She bumped him lightly with her shoulder in dissatisfaction. The two of them looked at each other and laughed at the same time. "I can't stand it." Huangzi shook her head and stared at the seagulls by her feet. Toru Watanabe looked at the seagulls and said, "Can you line up?" Command. "How can seagulls line up?" Huangzi's eyes widened. She looked at the seagulls in front of the four of them in disbelief. Although some were looking at the front, some were looking at the back, some were looking at each other, and some were looking at other birds' butts, they were indeed in a line. How is that possible? The three of them were in disbelief. "Come to my hand," Huangzi said. None of the seagulls responded to her. Seagulls like handsome Tokyo guys too? She was puzzled. "Watanabe, how did you do it?" "I don't know either." "Why don't you try again?" Aona Koizumi said expectantly. "Then a line up like this. Command. Toru Watanabe drew a heart with his fingers. The seagulls flapped their wings in unison. You snatch, you squeeze, I squeeze. In the end, it became a heart. "This is amazing." Aona Koizumi covered her mouth. Her eyes were sparkling. She looked at the seagulls for a while, then at Toru Watanabe for a while. Strange. Miyuki held her chest with her arms and murmured in disbelief. Huangzi took out her phone and took pictures. "Watanabe, continue. Hurry up. Fly to the beach, then fly back." Command. The seagulls flew away, attracting many of their companions. Then they flew back. Even the seagulls in front of the bachelor, who was feeding the bread, were attracted. Children, couples, and old people who were walking their dogs all gathered around. Toru Watanabe performed 2 more commands, and the seagulls dispersed. This is so fun. How did you do it? Huangzi put away her phone and asked. Handsome Tokyo guys keep 30% of their mystery, Toru Watanabe said, pretending to be profound. Then he changed the topic. It's a pity that I don't have a hat. If I did, I would put it on the ground. I've already earned the return fare. Then you can go wherever you want with this flock of seagulls, Huangzi said excitedly. Before that, I have to save money to buy a baby carriage, Toru Watanabe said with a smile. Aona Koizumi glared at him, seemingly angry but also happy. The other 2 laughed. After sitting for another 10 minutes, Huangzi couldn't sit still anymore. She suggested that they go to other attractions. I won't disturb you anymore, Toru Watanabe said. What? Aona Koizumi turned to look at him. Koizumi-sensei, you can play with them. I'm going back to Tokyo, he said. Why? I didn't bring a change of clothes. Toru Watanabe stood up. If he was here, Aona Koizumi, Huangzi, and Miyuki wouldn't be able to play to their heart's content, so he might as well let them have fun this time. Can't you not change your clothes for a day? Huangzi asked curiously. It's fine if you don't go to the hot springs, but it's impossible not to go to the hot springs in the hot sea. Besides, I came here to eat the goldeneye snappers. Since I've eaten them, I naturally have to go back. Toru Watanabe left just like that. He waited for a taxi on the side of the road. The 3 of them sent him off. Aona Koizumi was reluctant to part with him. Toru Watanabe reached out and pulled her into his arms. Aona Koizumi didn't resist. He whispered in her ear. Next time let's go out and play, just the 2 of us. When are we going? Aona Koizumi's voice instantly became cheerful. When the Mayu passes and it's summer. Can you really go with me? Of course, as long as sensei is willing. The taxi arrived, and Toru Watanabe sat down in front of the 3 of them. The taxi slowly drove along the seaside road under the palm trees. When they were about to leave the seaside, Toru Watanabe turned around and saw that Aona Koizumi was still standing on the side of the road, looking at him from afar. After the taxi disappeared, Aona Koizumi felt an indescribable pain in her heart. They were only apart for a short while, and they could meet again tomorrow. On the way to the Tangzen shrine, they walked uphill again. She was hoping that Toru Watanabe would appear again. When she said that they were leaving earlier, she was actually lying and trying to make her happy. However, he didn't appear. She began to miss him. She really wanted to suggest to Huangzi and Miyuki that they should go back now and take the next train back to Tokyo. However, she couldn't say it. Although she couldn't say it out loud, when she lost interest in the scenic spots, she would unconsciously say, "The hot sea is still too small. We can go anywhere in the hot springs. I still have classes on Monday. I want to prepare for them earlier." Huangzi and Miyuki looked at her with a headache. "Our night, just one night. We can meet again tomorrow afternoon." Chapter 289. While waiting for the train at Rihai Station, Toru Watanabe was wondering if he should buy something as a gift. On his way here, he noticed a shopping street called Haido Street. The shopping street was built on a gentle slope. Perhaps it was because he had to climb the slope every day to go to school, but Toru Watanabe felt a sense of familiarity. He didn't even have such a feeling when he was on the slope in front of Kamigawa School. There were many shops selling gifts, and many of them even had boxes of local specialties in front of their shops. Toru Watanabe wasn't in a hurry to buy anything. He slowly walked down the slope and prepared to finish his stroll. He had left his mask and book at the station. Fortunately, there was a famous saying that, except for Tokyo, all Japan is rural. In this rural town called Rihai, no one came to talk to him. It was just that the shop assistants and tourists kept looking at him. He was neither cold nor enthusiastic, just a little "don't bother me" expression. He didn't know if he was as noble as Miki Kujo, or as cold as Rin Kiyono in the eyes of others. On the way, he saw a shop called Shiroya Academy. A bookstore at the shopping street in front of the station? Standing in front of the shop, Toru Watanabe wasn't sure if it was a bookstore. Maybe it was a hot pot restaurant where you dipped your brush in seasoning. He took out his phone and took a picture. Even in Rihai, 100 kilometers away from Tokyo, I still pay attention to bookstores. You have no idea how. His hand stopped. Toru Watanabe looked at the phone screen and deleted the line. The shopping street exit was not far away, but he was not in the mood to continue walking. He put away his phone and walked back slowly. On the way, he bought 3 boxes of strawberry daifu. When he returned to the station, there was still some time before the train left. Toru Watanabe went to the free hot spring in front of the station. There were many people here, most of them tourists with suitcases. The locals were probably tired of these hot springs. The seats in the corner were also occupied. Toru Watanabe sat in the middle, took off his shoes, and soaked his feet in the hot spring. The slightly high temperature of the water and the exclamation of the female tourists beside him made Toru Watanabe think of Miki Kujio. The last time the two of them came to Aizu for a trip, she was so hot that she didn't dare to put her feet down at the hot spring by the Hajin seaside. She was so hot that she didn't dare to put her feet down, so he slowly poured hot spring water on her feet. He took out his phone, took a picture of his feet in the hot spring, and sent it to her. Sexy? Tonight, I'll let you know what real sex appeal is. At the same time, she sent a picture of her thighs with her skirt slightly lifted. I'm drooling, save. Useless. Following that, Miki Kujo sent another message. Where are you soaking your feet? The thermal sea. Clevered. JPG Humph. Don't be angry, I bought you a gift. Strawberry. JPG. If I don't see you tonight, don't ever come back. I've already bought the tickets. Tickets. JPG. So no one wants her, so she was chased away. Send me a voice message. I miss you. It was a voice message from Mickey. Get lost. Nice, it's so nice. I'm Mickey, Neeson's fan forever. Waving a light stick. JPG. Mickey. Nason ignored her little fan who was far away in the thermal sea. On the train back, they didn't meet the 2 female voice actors. Because they didn't have lunch, they bought a lunchbox from the station. The taste was average, but they ate while looking at the scenery along the way, which was quite satisfying. It was a bit of fun to go on a trip when you want to. After Toru Watanabe returned to Tokyo, the plum rain followed closely behind. It rained for a week. On a rainy Saturday, Toru Watanabe went to school with an umbrella that would never get wet. He guided the playing department's practice. On the ramp, he met Rin Kiyono. Good morning, Kiyono-san. Toru Watanabe walked up to her. Good morning. Rin Kiyono was holding an ordinary transparent umbrella. The transparent umbrella that was soaked by the rain suited her very well. It gave off a clean and transparent feeling. If this rain continues for another day, it'll be a week. Speaking of which, do you know the cause of the plum rain? It's because you said it last year. Rin Kiyono's cold voice was even more pleasant than the rain falling on the umbrella. Can you please forget it? I want to say it again. The two of them climbed up the hill and walked into the school. There was an area under the oak tree that wasn't wet by the rain. On the wet field, there were no members of the sports club, but they could hear the sound of a trumpet from the club building. Who did you go to the thermal sea with for the strawberry daifu? Rin Kiyono's interrogation tone was very natural. I didn't go with anyone. Koizumi, sensei went on a trip first. I came home from Kamibocho. When I was changing at the Shirgu, I suddenly wanted to look for her. So I went. In the end, I only stayed for an hour. You were chased back? Toru Watanabe took out his phone and showed her the message Miki Kujo sent to him. So no one wanted me, so I was chased back. What do you want to say? He asked. You two have been chatting for a long time. Qing Yi-lin tilted his umbrella and leaned his head over to look at the phone screen. What's the point? If I don't look for you, you'll ignore me? Rin Kiyono raised her eyes and looked at Toru Watanabe with eyes as beautiful as ice crystals. How do I put it? Toru Watanabe put away his phone. Everyone knows that I like you the most. Yeah. Rin Kiyono smiled and nodded. That's why I can't look for you. The more time you spend with me, the more you can't control yourself? Can't control your feelings for me? That was the case in the past. But now, I can't give up on Mickey and the others. Is that so? Rin Kiyono turned her head and walked into the school building with her long hair swaying gently. There were many wet umbrellas on the umbrella stand in front of the shoe cabinet. The wind department had more than 100 people and was a sports club that practiced in the indoor training field. After the morning practice, Toru Watanabe didn't go to the human observation department to be alone with Rin Kiyono. Instead, he went to find Osamu Kanai. The baseball club's indoor practice field was made up of grids made of barbed wire. Every club member stayed in one of the grids and practiced throwing and swinging the bat. Koen Watanabe. Before he found Osamu Kanai, the baseball manager walked over. "Good afternoon, classmate Kobayashi." Toru Watanabe nodded. "Good afternoon." Kobayashi smiled happily from Gzilla's blowing. "Are you here to play baseball?" Toru Watanabe looked at the practice field. Everyone was practicing seriously. The sound of the coach's roars and the sound of bats hitting the ball could be heard. He didn't want to disturb Osamu Kanai, so he said, "May I?" Of course, Koen Watanabe is also a member of the baseball club. I forgot. Koen Watanabe, don't worry. When the time comes, I'll ask my father to arrange for you to be a substitute. Although you might not be able to play, you can sit on the bench and watch the game up close. Thank you, but there's no need. Toru Watanabe said. You're welcome. All right, I'll bring you in. Kobayashi Yujizi led Toru Watanabe into a barbed wire fence. Do you know how to use it? Kobayashi Yujizi asked. It's similar to a baseball field. Toru Watanabe looked at the automatic pitching machine and the bat. Yes. Kobayashi Yujizi walked out of the barbed wire fence and sat on a bench outside. He held a pen and paper in his hands and prepared to record Toru Watanabe's training record, including his speed and number of pitches. The main purpose was of course to wait for Toru Watanabe to get tired, give him a towel and water, and then chat during the break. Toru Watanabe picked the heaviest bat and continuously swung it at the balls thrown by the pitching machine. Bang, bang, bang. The faster the pitching machine threw the ball, the more carefree it was to hit the ball. But the pitching machine was still too slow. It was so slow that Toru Watanabe could still think of Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo when he hit the ball back. Kobayashi Yujizi repeatedly called for a break several times, but he pretended not to hear. Koen Watanabe, are you okay? If a newbie practices for a long time, it's easy to get injured. I'm fine, thank you. After exercising, his mood was more or less cheerful. Toru Watanabe said, Can I come again tomorrow? Of course. Kobayashi Yujizi answered without thinking, and then slowly added, Koen Watanabe is a member of the baseball team, so he can come anytime. And thank you. But Koen Watanabe is really good. If it's an official baseball field, there are several times when he can hit the ball out of the field. You can see that? There were indeed several times when Toru Watanabe was distracted thinking about women, so he did not control his strength. Of course you can. Koen Watanabe, are you going to officially participate in the training? There are still 2 months before the qualifiers. With Koen Watanabe's talent, maybe you can be the 3rd or 4th batter in a month. How can it be that simple? Toru Watanabe said, I heard from Kojui that many talented people started practicing in elementary school. That's because they are not talented enough. Kobayashi Yujizi was more confident than Toru Watanabe. Koen Watanabe practiced oboe for a month. Didn't he surpass everyone? No problem. As long as it was Toru Watanabe's deeds, there was no girl in Kamigawa who did not know. Don't look at how he was usually scolded by the 2 big misses. In Kamigawa, he was actually a big star. After a few simple words with Kobayashi Yujizi, Toru Watanabe said goodbye and left. Returning to the music classroom, Rin Kiyono stood at the conductor's position, while the members of the blowing department sat in their own positions, preparing for the afternoon's ensemble practice. Toru Watanabe was the instructor, so he also stood in front, observing everyone's ensemble. Let's begin. Seeing that everyone was present, Rin Kiyono said. Yes. A chorus of female voices sounded. Not only the blowing department, but Kamigawa's first-year students were also overwhelmingly female. On Toru Watanabe's birthday, the principal met Toru Watanabe in the courtyard and specially gave him his blessings. He did not know if it was because he was a star student, or because he was giving face to Kujo's family. Student Sakanishi. Yes. The clarinet player, Sakanishi Rika, was responsible for tuning the instrument. Following her clarinet, all the other instruments made the same sound. Rin Kiyono did not hold a conductor's baton, so she directed with her bare hands. When she waved her hands, the brass instruments made a majestic rhythm. Toru Watanabe listened, occasionally glancing at Rin Kiyono. The side of her face was elegant and cold. Her expression was completely focused. Her slender and fair fingers could be vaguely seen through the sleeves of her school uniform. Her snow-white wrists could be vaguely seen. Stop! Halfway through, Rin Kiyono stopped the conductor's hands. The classroom, which had been filled with the roaring of instruments, suddenly became silent. Toru Watanabe could hear the sound of rain flowing down the glass window, but in the blink of an eye, this sound was covered by the sound of a student from the blowing department. What's going on? Rin Kiyono asked coldly. She swallowed her saliva, nervous heartbeat. Double bass. Here. Asako Hanada and another girl hurriedly responded. When you're plucking, pay attention to the movements of your left hand. If I remember correctly, I told you this in the morning. Yes, I'll pay attention. The first-year students were too scared to answer. Only Asako Hanada spoke. Trombone. Here. Yoshimi Tamamo's voice was the loudest in the trombone department. The mistakes that were pointed out yesterday were corrected in the morning, and now they're back. Can you schedule the competition in the morning? I'm sorry, I'll practice more today, but I promise I won't meet the requirements tomorrow. Yoshimi Tamamo answered firmly. If you think holding an instrument and opening the score means practicing, then you're gravely mistaken. Yes. Seino Rin glanced at her, then turned to look at everyone else. This isn't just for the bass and trombone players. All of you must remember that time is not the standard of hard work, but whether or not you've corrected your mistakes and improved your skills. The classroom was silent. If you don't improve, then it's just a waste of time. Don't be so emotional. Yes. Yoshimi Tamamo, including the second-year and third-year students, stood up and responded. Yes. The first-year students hurriedly responded. That's all for the ensemble. Practice separately. If you can't do it, then keep practicing. Or you can play together by yourselves. Don't waste my vacation. Yes. Rin Kiyono closed the score, turned around, and left the music classroom. The classroom breathed a sigh of relief, but for a long time, everyone just looked at each other without saying a word. Toru Watanabe watched Rin Kiyono leave, then lowered his head and thought about something. Rin Kiyono lectured everyone. This was something that had never happened this year. She promised to help Kaoru Hayami and did many things, but in terms of specific instructions, she was not as strict as last year. She would only point out mistakes and not waste time on nonsense. The second-year and third-year students were fine since they had experience last year, but the first-year students were shocked. Everyone. Kaoru Hayami put down the bassoon and stood up to face everyone. Don't just stand there. Hurry up and start practicing. Yes. Everyone dispersed and returned to their respective classrooms. Some stayed in the music classroom and started practicing. Kaoru Hayami walked to Toru Watanabe's side and said with a bitter smile, I'm sorry, Koen Watanabe. She clearly made many mistakes, but she still didn't improve. Isn't that a good thing? Toru Watanabe said. She'll only improve after being lectured. Yeah. Kaoru Hayami nodded in agreement. But what's up with Kiyono today? Why is she suddenly so eager to help? Maybe it's because she likes the rain. Toru Watanabe said. After giving a few simple instructions, Toru Watanabe went to the Human Observation Department. By the window of the activity classroom, a beautiful girl with a fair face was writing something on the score with a pen. Toru Watanabe sat in his seat and said to her, Are you angry? No. Yes, you're not angry. Is that why you were throwing a tantrum just now? Rin Kiyono stopped writing and looked up at him. Do you know what you did wrong? You didn't come to the activity classroom at noon? Not only that. Didn't I send you a message? Also, I apologize for everything. Don't use the instrument to vent. Shallow. Rin Kiyono sneered. Do you think I'll implicate others? And do they have the right to implicate me? Then you are. Toru Watanabe didn't understand. This year is different from last year. Last year, you only needed to make all the instruments cooperate with you. When the judges heard your performance, as long as the others didn't make any obvious mistakes, they would naturally give an A. So you were really helping just now. Toru Watanabe suddenly suspected that he didn't know Rin Kiyono as well as Kaoru Hayami. I was helping, but not to the extent of being enthusiastic. While guiding them, I wanted you to think that I was jealous and angry and cared about me. Bad woman. Are you still going out at noon? Didn't I go to the baseball club at noon in the past? Did you deliberately avoid me in the past? Rin Kiyono asked. It depends on the situation. What about messages? Do you take the initiative to send me messages? It depends on the situation. Rin Kiyono stared at the depressed Toru Watanabe and suddenly laughed. Anyway, you've always wanted to send me messages. You opened our chat interface several times and typed a lot of words, but in the end, you deleted them. How do you know? Can you read other people's memories other than mind reading? Idiot. Rin Kiyono was a little embarrassed. I'm the same. I wanted to send you a message several times. Toru Watanabe couldn't say a word. How can I stop loving this bad woman? Impossible. Give up. Even I love myself. Rin Kiyono directly answered the question that Toru Watanabe asked in his heart. P.S. Thank you to the leader of Zhan and Xiao for becoming the 54th leader of this book. Thank you to the second and third leaders of Armored Space Mother Phoenix. Chapter 290. Purple hydrangea, hibiscus and gentian, golden peacock grass and marigold. A bunch of red and pink peonies, 4 colored peonies and pure white gardenia and lilies. Mrs. Kujo was wearing a white kimono with a long and gorgeous black coat. Mrs. Kujo was standing on the dripping porch, admiring the garden in the plum rain. The sound of her kimono fluttering came from behind her. She didn't turn around and said softly, "It's this time of the year again." Miki Kujo stepped forward and stood a hand's distance behind her mother. She also looked at the garden that could almost be called a labyrinth. Her eyes swept over most of the flowers and finally fell on the roses. Since White Valentine's Day this year, the Kamibocho villa received a bouquet of roses every day. There were also May roses that her mother used for bathing. When she opened her eyes, Toru Watanabe took it to her bedside, and the two of them hid under the quilt and smelled it together. She also wore a wisteria-colored kimono with the Kujo family emblem embroidered on the back with gold silk. The mother and daughter stood together, and the servant stood far behind them. From a distance, it looked like a ukiyo-e painting of an ancient aristocrat. The beauty was broken by the heavy footsteps. "Master, Miss," Shinsuke Kujo stopped 2 meters away. "The preparations for the ritual are all done. The monks from Kyoto are arranged in Haatoji." "Thank you for your hard work," Mrs. Kujo said lightly. Shinsuke Kujo didn't say anything and silently bowed. The rain pattered, and the yard was faintly foggy. The white flowers were the first to hide their figures. "There's one more thing I need you to do." "Yes." June 19th, Saturday. It was sunny for 2 days this week, but on Saturday and Sunday, it began to rain again. "I can't go today. Ask for leave." Toru Watanabe called Rin Kiyono. "Why?" On the other side of the phone, Rin Kiyono stopped putting on her clothes. "Miki asked me to go there. It seems to be the death anniversary of the previous head of the Kujo family." Rin Kiyono continued to put on her clothes. "You're not related to the Kujo family by blood, nor have you married into their family. What are you going to do? Make up the numbers? I understand." There was nothing else to say after that, but the call didn't end. Toru Watanabe looked at the forest of Meiji Shrine in the rain, and listened to the sound of hands reaching into the sleeves, zipping up the pleated skirt, and tightening the bow. After Rin Kiyono finished dressing, she said coldly, "Pervert." Beep. She hung up the phone. I don't believe that you don't know that the call is still on, Toru Watanabe said to Mayu. After taking a shower and changing his clothes, he left a note on the table for my Asahi, who was still sleeping. Go to Miki's house and tell Koizumi, sensei for me Watanabe. He pressed the pen down on the paper, took the umbrella and went out. This was the first time he went to the Kujo family's mansion alone. In the past, it was either Miki Kujo who came to pick him up, or they went to Kamibocho together. The taxi stopped at the bottom of a steep slope, and further ahead was a private residential area, where driving was prohibited. Toru Watanabe paid the fare and climbed the slope alone with an umbrella. After climbing the slope, he saw the Kujo family's deep courtyard. The walls were majestic, and the trees within the courtyard were lush. There were many cars parked at the main entrance, and many people in black suits and plain kimonos entered the house. Toru Watanabe walked over, and these people hurriedly greeted him. Inside, Toru Watanabe didn't go to the lobby, but ran to Miki Kujo's bedroom first. She slept here last night, so she definitely didn't get up yet. And every time he came here, he would be asked to change into a kimono. The one he was going to wear today was probably already hung on the kimono rack. He pushed the door into the bedroom, but there was no one there. Toru Watanabe was a little surprised. But on the kimono rack, there was indeed a kimono prepared for him. When he was about to take off his clothes and change, the door opened. You scared me. Toru Watanabe took off his pants and put them back on. Why are you so afraid of me? What did you do to me? Miki Kujo closed the door and walked over. My body is Miki's, of course, I have to protect it. Toru Watanabe took off his kimono and put it on one by one. You make it sound nice. Miki Kujo put her hands around his waist and helped him tie his belt. After putting it on, Toru Watanabe noticed that his kimono also had the Kujo family emblem. This is. From now on, you're a member of the Kujo family. Miki Kujo helped him adjust his collar and black feather. Let's go, baby. Shouldn't you call me Prince or something like that when I'm wearing a kimono? Toru Watanabe hugged Miki Kujo as she turned to leave. Let go. Your black kimono looks so good. Miki Kujo slapped his hand that was reaching into the front of her shirt. Don't mess it up. Then should we use the same posture as last time? Today is the anniversary of my death. Oh, listen to me. Toru Watanabe originally wanted to get it over with quickly, but Miki Kujo played with him and simply let go. After the two of them showered, put on their kimonos again, and slowly walked to the temple. It was already past 10 in the morning. The Kujo family's private temple was as big as a tourist attraction, grand and magnificent. The smell of sandalwood rose in spirals, one after another the sound of a wooden fish, and a dozen or so monks chanting in unison. In front of the temple, most of the Kujo family members whom they had met during the new year were kneeling. Toru Watanabe followed Miki Kujo to the front and knelt beside Mrs. Kujo. Good morning, mother. Toru Watanabe bowed his head and greeted her. Mrs. Kujo slowly opened her eyes, glanced at him, and nodded slightly. At this time, she was completely different from the one who drove, wore jeans, and wore a baseball uniform. She clearly had the same beautiful face, but she gave people the feeling that they were two different people. The ritual officially started at 11 and lasted for an entire day. Toru Watanabe only had time to rest when it was dinner time. We still have to continue at night. Miki Kujo said in the bedroom. Kneel. Toru Watanabe said in surprise. I've never knelt for so long in my life. Get used to it as soon as possible. You'll be kneeling for a long time in your next life. Miki Kujo leaned against the table, looking tired as well. I'll give you a massage. As long as Miki Kujo nodded, Toru Watanabe immediately exchanged for the massage skill. Because of the previous massage practice, Miki Kujo, who clearly misunderstood, waved her hand. Don't bother me. Go out and walk around. I'm going to sleep for a while. I'm serious. Miki Kujo didn't say anything. She closed her eyes and prepared to sleep. Toru Watanabe could only go out. It was still raining outside. Compared to when he came in the morning, it didn't get heavier or lighter. How amazing was nature to be able to control the rainfall for such a long time. Toru Watanabe stood under the eaves of the corridor in front of Miki Kujo's door. Because he had nothing to do, he began to let his imagination run wild. Young Master Watanabe. Toru Watanabe withdrew his gaze and looked in the direction of the voice. Uncle Shinsuke. Calling each other by their names didn't mean that they were close. Just like what Rin Kiyono said when they were on a family trip, Kujo's family is full of Kujo. If you don't call each other by their names, you won't know who to call. Shinsuke Kujo was also wearing a kimono, and he looked a little stylish. But compared to Toru Watanabe, he was a far cry. Thank you for your hard work today, Shinsuke Kujo said. You're welcome. There's still an hour before the competition starts. Do you want to go out and get some fresh air? Go out. Toru Watanabe thought about going shopping or walking around the bookstore. But on second thought, he still had to change his clothes. It was too troublesome. Forget it, he said. Shinsuke Kujo immediately said, take the car out. You don't have to change clothes. It's only an hour. You don't even have to wet your shoes. You don't even have to wet your shoes? Toru Watanabe said. I'll ask someone to carry you. Shinsuke Kujo made a gesture of calling a servant over. Both of them laughed at the same time. Toru Watanabe asked, where are we going? Take the car and walk around. Find a clean place to sit for a while. It'll be over in an hour. Thank you, Uncle Shinsuke. Both of them did not change their clothes. They got into Shinsuke Kujo's car and headed towards the central district. The night was hazy, and the rain was dripping. Every house had their lights on. When the car arrived at the destination, Shinsuke Kujo got out of the car first. A bodyguard held an umbrella for him. Toru Watanabe got out of the car later. He also had a bodyguard holding an umbrella. Shinsuke Kujo leaned over and introduced him to where they were. He stepped out of his umbrella slightly. His kimono was wet from the rain. Young master, have you been here before? Is this Ginza? Toru Watanabe looked around at the red and green lights. Yes. Shinsuke Kujo said, please come with me. Both of them stepped on the rainwater reflecting the neon lights and walked into a shop. The shop was not big, but the interior decoration was very elegant. As soon as they entered, a slim beauty in a kimono walked up to them. President Kujo, you haven't been here for a long time. Oh, this kimono is so beautiful. The kimono beauty looked about 25 years old. Mama-san, the good-looking one, is here. Shinsuke Kujo introduced Toru Watanabe. Your son, our future young master. Mama-san just stared blankly with her mouth open for a while. Although Toru Watanabe was handsome and could indeed make girls look at him with infatuation, the Ginza bar and club Mama-san was 100% acting. But her acting was very natural, or rather, she pushed the boat with the current. Not only did it not make the guests feel fake, but it also satisfied their vanity. Toru Watanabe nodded gently. The Mama-san in front of him was indeed beautiful, but he did not look at her. There was no discrimination. It was just a personal preference. He could not get along with this kind of woman. Even back at the Imperial Tea House, when Miki Kujo came up and kissed him, he still felt uncomfortable. Mama-san, come back to your senses. Shinsuke Kujo teased. Mama-san covered her mouth embarrassedly. Really, President Kujo, why didn't you tell me about the young master's handsomeness earlier? You made me lose face. Ha ha. Shinsuke Kujo laughed. Mama-san is wrong. Not only is he handsome, but the young master is the smartest in Japan. How can I see it when I first meet him? Please come often in the future. I will definitely see it. Mama-san said angrily and unwillingly. Shinsuke Kujo introduced this Mama-san to Toru Watanabe. Young master, this is the most beautiful Mama-san in Ginza. There are a lot of beautiful women in this shop, but all the guests are here for the Mama-san. Don't say that. Let's find a place to sit first. Toru Watanabe stood for a while. Look at me, Mama-san said with a face full of self-blame. While leading the two of them inside, she said, I haven't seen President Kujo for a long time, and the young master was in a daze. I actually let the two of you stand. The two of them sat in a private room. What wine do you want to drink today? Mama-san didn't let other women receive them. She accompanied the two of them. President Kujo, do you have high-end wine here? Or something else? Shinsuke Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe. I don't drink. Toru Watanabe looked at the decoration in the shop, and looked at the guests who were dressed in high-end clothes. Although he didn't like it, it didn't matter if he looked at it. After listening to Toru Watanabe, Shinsuke Kujo immediately said, I have something to do later. I just came out to relax. Mama-san is lending us this place. Please come. It's my honor. Mama-san asked the foreman to bring snacks, juice and high-end fruits. Although she didn't drink, she was still very talkative. Most of them talked about their own things, such as being born in Kyoto, being a dancer, and coming to Tokyo alone before becoming a geisha. Halfway through, her accent changed to Kyoto dialect, which was gentle and pleasant. From time to time, she asked Shinsuke Kujo about his work. She didn't ask in detail, but only asked if he was happy. If he was unhappy, she would comfort him softly. While talking and laughing with Shinsuke Kujo, she complimented Toru Watanabe without any trace, but she didn't take the initiative to ask him any questions. Toru Watanabe drank juice and thought about Japan's society. In Japan, it was normal for men to drink outside until 11 o'clock or even 2 o'clock after work. Coming to this kind of bar was a symbol of status. He saw in the magazine that Abe-chan seemed to have also been here. In the photo, Abe-chan was sitting on the sofa with a glass of wine, smiling happily. When he came back to his senses, Mama-san looked depressed. Young master? Shinsuke Kujo shouted. Sorry. Toru Watanabe thought that he was distracted and discouraged the other party from chatting. Mama-san is so pitiful. Shinsuke Kujo sighed inexplicably. Ha! Shinsuke Kujo sighed and said. Young master, you may not know, but there are many bars in Ginza that have investors behind them. The executive director of SHI Products, Tamura, is Mama-san's investor. I thought it was you, Shinsuke. Toru Watanabe said. Young master, you think too highly of me. I still owe 1 billion. How can I sponsor Mama-san? Shinsuke Kujo said. That executive director of Tamura, because he offended someone, he was sent abroad to be the president of a branch company. Isn't it good that the executive director became the president? How can the president of a foreign company be compared to the executive director of the headquarters? Moreover, if he leaves Tokyo, Mama-san will lose its investor, and this bar will soon close down. Uncle Shinsuke, are you going to be the new investor of Mama-san, and then you are going to borrow money from me? Toru Watanabe asked. No. Shinsuke Kujo quickly said. Young master, to tell you the truth, I and Tamura are alumni of Waseda University. We were in the kendo club together. Today, I am here to plead with you. Please. Mama-san put her hands on the low table and bowed her head. Young master. Shinsuke Kujo said. That guy Tamura was framed. He will never do anything wrong to the company. Someone was jealous of his talent. Why are you begging me? I don't even know who the president of SHI Products is. Toru Watanabe said. The president of SHI Products is Liu Zhe. He is Shinsuke Kujo's man. Shinsuke Kujo said. Who is this Shinsuke Kujo? Toru Watanabe asked. Did you forget? At the meeting before the new year, he was competing with me for Kanagawa's business. At that time, thanks to your help, I accepted Kanagawa's business. Half a year ago, I don't remember. Toru Watanabe showed a look of reminiscence. These are not worth mentioning to you. You don't have to remember them. You just have to tell Miss, and not only Tamura, the president of Mitsui and Company, but even Shinozaki from the headquarters will have to listen to her. Young master, I beg you. Manager Tamura was really framed. Madame Mulberry cried and begged. Young master, as long as you say a word, Tamura can stay in Tokyo. That guy is really capable. And Mama-san's life in Tokyo is not easy. Without Tamura, who knows where such a beautiful person will go? Since it's a false accusation, why don't you help Tamura investigate? Toru Watanabe said. Those people's evidence is quite complete. I have no choice but to beg you. Please help my old classmate help Mama-san. Mama-san left the sofa and knelt on the carpet with her hands on the ground. She bowed her head to Toru Watanabe and didn't say a word. Toru Watanabe put down the delicate glass of juice. Go back. On the left was Shinsuke Kujo, on the right was Mama-san. Young master, Tamura was really framed. Even if he is transferred to a useless department, the main thing is not to go abroad, but to stay in Tokyo. Toru Watanabe looked at the motionless Mama-san at his feet. I'll think about it. Good. You take your time to think about it. No rush. Tamura will go abroad next month. Shinsuke Kujo quickly responded. Thank you, young master. Thank you, young master. Mama-san said with a crying voice. Go back. This time, Shinsuke Kujo got up and made way. Mama-san wiped her tears and stood up. Back at Kujo's house, there was still some time before the evening ritual. Toru Watanabe returned to Miki Kujo's bedroom. Miki Kujo was already awake. She was leaning on the elbow table and browsing documents on her tablet. What's wrong? She raised her eyebrows and looked at Toru Watanabe. You're angry. Who provoked you? Toru Watanabe's face was calm, but Miki Kujo could see his emotions. Your uncle Shinsuke Kujo. Toru Watanabe told her what had just happened. Miki Kujo listened and didn't take it seriously. If you come to plead, I'll have my subordinates revoke the transfer order. No. Toru Watanabe stopped her. Using a beautiful woman to plead with me. Do you think I'm an ordinary teenager who likes to show off in front of women? Just pretend you don't know about this. Shinsuke Kujo begged you to do something, but you couldn't do it. The subordinates will make fun of you as a son-in-law. Do you think I care about what they think? Toru Watanabe said. And if I start this, everyone will come to beg me. Do I look for you every time? I'm crazy. This time, I'll let them know that I can't persuade you, and no one will bother me in the future. Miki Kujo's affectionate and noble eyes glanced at Toru Watanabe. It's up to you, she said, but in the future, when I have children, you will be the housekeeper for me. It will be difficult without some prestige. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Quick, let me hug you. I'm so angry. Go take a shower first. Miki Kujo raised her leg in white cloth socks and pressed it against Toru Watanabe's chest. You touched the body of Ginza's #1 Mama-san and you want to touch me. I didn't touch her. Then go take a shower too. It's done. Shinsuke Kujo said respectfully. Mrs. Kujo nodded gently. Then what about Tamura? If Koen Watanabe comes to plead, then do as he says. If he doesn't come, then do what you need to do. Chapter 291. Miki Kujo wore a red kimono. She looked noble outside, but in the bedroom, she was charming. When she wore a plain kimono, she looked seductive and seductive. In short, as long as it was Miki Kujo, she could easily arouse Toru Watanabe's desire. There was not much time left before the ritual at night, but he was already in high spirits. Miki Kujo was panting and sweating. Miki Kujo knew that this would not work, but there was nothing she could do. The first words of love and teasing were simple, I like you. I like you more. No, I like you more. Even if she said it 100 million times, it would not be enough. Halfway through, there were only moans. Her entire body was filled and penetrated. She forgot about her family, work, and studies. She only had eyes for each other. She was completely immersed in it. After it ended, she was held tightly in Toru Watanabe's arms, or she gently held Toru Watanabe in her arms. She was so comfortable that she forgot all her worries. She wished that she could stay like this for the rest of her life, or that her life would end at this moment. It was the same this time. Nestled in Toru Watanabe's arms, she felt lazy, as if she was in the warm wind, or as if she was lying on white cumulus clouds. During this time, Toru Watanabe did not say a word. He felt the warmth of her skin against his. Miki Kujo was very satisfied with his immersion. She stretched out her slender arms and wrapped them around his neck. She pressed her face against his neck. I'm going to be scolded, she whispered. Toru Watanabe did not say anything. He lifted her chin and kissed her delicate lips. Kissing, kissing, and leaving her lips the side of her face, her earlobe, her neck, her collarbone. Miki Kujo looked up and let out a comfortable moan. Their position changed from her nestled in Toru Watanabe's arms to Toru Watanabe buried in her arms. When Toru Watanabe put his hands on her bent knees and was about to separate her legs, she opened her eyes and teased him with a smile. "Are you sure you want to do it?" Toru Watanabe suddenly woke up. He looked very conflicted. "Forget it, I'm not doing it." Finally he gritted his teeth. "Useless." She kicked him away, took the quilt, threw it over his face and got out of bed. By the time the two of them dressed up and rushed to the temple hall, the ritual had already started for more than an hour. They knelt beside Mrs. Kujo. Mrs. Kujo reprimanded them in a low voice that only the three of them could hear. "How dare you?" Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo, the murderous, unreasonable woman who was sometimes domineering, sometimes contemptuous, and sometimes begging in bed. At this moment, her eyes were closed and her eyebrows were drooping. Her delicate side profile looked holy in the midst of the chanting and the smell of sandalwood. Holiness had its own unique charm. Let her put on such a pose at night. Wait. Now is not the time to think about this. He apologized to Mrs. Kujo in a low voice. "I'm sorry, it won't happen again next year." Mrs. Kujo looked at him deeply and closed her eyes again. Toru Watanabe thought about it. Such behavior was indeed too rude to the previous Kujo family head. He put his palms together and focused on reciting the mystic Dharma Lotus Sutra that he memorized out of boredom in the morning until the ritual ended. Late at night, after the ritual ended, everyone gathered in the room for supper. At this time, a woman in a solemn kimono came forward. After bowing, she took out a box with neatly folded bathrobes. "These bathrobes are for you, miss and young master, to cool off in summer." After that, she introduced the pattern on the bathrobes, the Japanese flower. Then she said that the belt was made by Bodo. Finally, she talked about the method of sewing. She used the kimono technique that the feudal lords of the Edo period had offered to the Edo shogunate. "Yes, thank you for your trouble," Mrs. Kujo replied indifferently. After that, another woman came forward. This time, it was a cool glass tea set. The color of cherry blossoms spread out like ink, but it maintained the transparency of the glass. It was very beautiful. Even Toru Watanabe, who was not interested in the tea set, couldn't help but look at it a few more times. He wondered if he should buy a cup of tea from the convenience store. After the gift-giving process was over, the atmosphere became more relaxed. "Watanabe-kun." Mrs. Kujo's tone was calm and unhurried. "Mother," Toru Watanabe replied. "Do you have anything you want to say?" "It's really a good season." Toru Watanabe didn't know what she was going to say. Miki Kujo looked at him with a smile, waiting for him to make a fool of himself. "I don't know if Mother is scolding him for being late to the anniversary of his death, or for not preparing a gift. There's a Yulon Hungry Ghost Festival in summer. We can watch the fireworks and visit the festival. Now it's the rainy season. How is it a good season?" Mrs. Kujo asked. Her tone was calm, but everyone in the room looked down. They were so scared that they didn't dare to breathe. "The rainy season has its good points. The lotus flowers in Ueno and the calamus in Meiji Shrine are beautiful in this season." Toru Watanabe didn't seem to care at all. "If you're free, Miki and I will accompany you." "You pass," Mrs. Kujo said flatly. "What about the gift?" "Gift?" Toru Watanabe was surprised. "Everyone gives me gifts. Except for the new year, you come empty-handed every time. I'll prepare more the next time I come." "Forget it. It's fine if you don't know etiquette. Now that I remind you, people will say that I forced you to give me a gift. How can that be? I'm willing." "Forget it," Mrs. Kujo sighed. "Dear mother, please give your son a definite answer. Are you going to give me a gift or not? Don't make me guess blindly." "I'll make a mistake," Toru Watanabe said as if he had been wronged. "I won't see you out. I'll bring it next time." Mrs. Kujo didn't comment. She said to the Branch family on both sides, "You must be tired today. Go back and rest early. Kun Watanabe." "Yes. See them out for me." Yes. The Kujo family members got up and left one by one. Toru Watanabe followed them to the front door and greeted them one by one. Only Mrs. Kujo and Miki Kujo were left in the room. Under the sound of the rain and the night sky, the room seemed empty and quiet. Did he look for you? Mrs. Kujo asked her daughter. He told me. Mrs. Kujo answered. Miki Kujo told her what Shinsuke Kujo did. A beautiful and pitiful woman who can change the other person's fate with a single sentence. In such a situation, not to mention a 17-year-old boy, even an older man wouldn't be able to resist the temptation of being arrogant and vain. They would agree in a moment of dizziness. Mrs. Kujo said Shinsuke did well. There was a ritual just now, so she didn't ask Shinsuke Kujo what method he used. Miki Kujo laughed. What's wrong? Mrs. Kujo smiled and grabbed her daughter's hand. Watanabe hates Shinsuke Kujo this time. When Watanabe takes over the Kujo family in the future, he might teach him a lesson. Hates. Mrs. Kujo didn't comment on the other information in her daughter's words. Yes. Miki Kujo nodded elegantly. Watanabe came back angrily, thinking that Shinsuke Kujo looked down on him. He didn't plead for mercy. No. Miki Kujo pulled her hand back and took a sip of tea. He told me to pretend that I didn't know. He also said that if I agreed to one, there would be another. He didn't want to cause trouble for himself. So my plan failed. Mrs. Kujo said with a smile. You should have scolded him for being late and not giving him a gift. Miki Kujo said. Mrs. Kujo's plan was, if Toru Watanabe begged for mercy, he would give him a good scolding first, making him ashamed of himself. He would tell him that as the son-in-law of the Kujo clan, there were many people who wanted to take advantage of him. He would know what he should do and what he shouldn't do, and then agree to his request. The first step of disciplining my son-in-law failed. She sighed. He's much smarter than we thought. Be careful in the future. He's smart, but you don't need to be careful. Miki Kujo said. Don't need to be careful? In the future, when the Kujo family becomes Watanabe's family, let's see if you have the face to come down and see me. I think he doesn't want to mingle with Shinsuke Kujo, and is too lazy to care. Didn't you see his behavior just now? When you questioned him, he was still leisurely saying things like, it's really a good time, and calamus, lotus flowers. Mrs. Kujo said. A person who doesn't know how to worry. That's hard to say. Huh. Maybe he saw through this arrangement, or maybe he didn't. But for the future, he pretended to be carefree and didn't want to care about anything. This guess is very likely to be true. Mrs. Kujo said, he's a son of a farmer from the countryside. Before he started dating you, he worked part-time and studied. He's done all kinds of hard and tiring work. He's also very talented. How can such a person be carefree and have no desires? But no matter what, I think there's no need to worry. If he wants power, just give it to him. As long as he changes his surname to Kujo, the one who will inherit the Kujo family in the future will be my child with him. Nothing else matters. Mrs. Kujo looked at her daughter. When I'm dead, you can do whatever you want. At that time, I won't be able to control you even if I want to. Mother looks so young. Maybe you'll live to be 120 or 130 years old. You'll live longer than me. 120 or 130 years old. How ugly would you be? It's better to die early while you're young and beautiful. According to what you said, we should die now. The two of them tacitly changed the topic and stopped talking about the plan. Calculating the time, Toru Watanabe should be on his way back after sending off the branch family members. It's still early for you. I'm almost there. Maybe I'll have wrinkles in 2 years. Mrs. Kujo said. You're 8 or 9 years old. No matter how well you take care of yourself, you'll have wrinkles. Miki Kujo didn't hold back. Mrs. Kujo couldn't be angry with her daughter. The existence of children was to remind parents of aging. It's all thanks to Kun Watanabe's skincare products. By the way, Kiyono also asked me for them. Tell Kun Watanabe to bring another bottle. You told Aunt Kiyono about Watanabe. Miki Kujo said with some dissatisfaction. Even Rin Kiyono didn't know about Toru Watanabe's matter. She treated it as her own secret. If she could go back in time, She would definitely not tell her mother about it. This kind of thing, it was enough for two people to know. Don't worry, my good daughter. I only said that I developed a skincare product with rare raw materials. Mrs. Cujo said carelessly. Remember to tell him to give it to me. Otherwise, in a few years, when Kiyono and I walk together, people will think that we're mother and daughter. Okay. Miki Cujo agreed. After a while, Toru Watanabe came back. The hem of his kimono was stained with rain. Thank you for your hard work, Koen Watanabe, Mrs. Cujo said with a smile. Without guests, although she was still wearing a luxurious kimono, her attitude was much more amiable. It's not hard. Letting me attend the death anniversary and see the guests off is your acknowledgement of me. I'm more than happy to agree to let me and Miki be together. Toru Watanabe knelt beside Miki Cujo and held her left hand. Miki Cujo looked at him with a smile. You just said that you and Miki will take me to Ueno to see the lotus flowers. When will you be free? Mrs. Cujo asked. When will you be free? Toru Watanabe said. I'm an idle person. I'm free every day. How about tomorrow? Although it's Sunday, there shouldn't be too many people on a rainy day. You're not going to ask me when I'm free? Miki Cujo said slowly as she picked up her tea. I'm not going to ask. Toru Watanabe smiled. I'm forcing you to go with me. Miki Cujo rolled her eyes at him. Mrs. Cujo watched her daughter drink her tea. Her hand was still in Toru Watanabe's. When she held her hand just now, she pulled her hand away in order to drink tea. Although she was holding her daughter's right hand, as a mother, she still felt a sense of loss. Toru Watanabe would marry into her family in the future, but Miki was raised by her painstakingly. When she saw this scene in front of her, she felt like she had become someone else's family. You're both tired today. Rest early, she said. Yes. Mother, you should rest early too. The two of them left shoulder to shoulder. Mrs. Cujo was left alone in her room, savoring the joys and worries of being a mother. When they returned to the living room, the two of them went straight to the bedroom and fell on the bed together. They kissed for a while without caring about anything else. Do you know what Mother said just now? Miki Cujo said when their lips parted slightly. She said that we're still fooling around on the anniversary of her death. The two of them were very close to each other. If their lips moved a little too much, their lips would touch. It was a charming and warm atmosphere. The Shinsuke Cujo incident was actually arranged by Mother. I know about it too. She told him the whole story. You upper-class people have ulterior motives when you look at everyone. Toru Watanabe pinched Miki Cujo's butt through her kimono. Miki Cujo hit him, but he obediently put his hand back on her waist. You, she said. I've told you before. You me us. The rest are all other people. Your mother too? Your mother too. Can you do it? My love is too deep. Toru Watanabe buried his face in her chest and said in a muffled voice, If this goes on, I'll be as extreme as you. If I didn't love you to the extreme, I wouldn't have allowed you to have two lovers. Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. His hands hugged her even more tightly. Have you guessed this? Miki Cujo reached her hand into his hair. I guessed a little. But no matter what, I won't agree to it. I don't want to get involved in these things. I'm already satisfied in this life. I don't want anything more. The two of them stopped talking and snuggled together in the rain. Miki Cujo stopped combing Toru Watanabe's hair. Are you thinking about Rin Kiyono? No. No. Miki Cujo sneered. Her hand went over Toru Watanabe's shoulder, back, and then to his stomach. You dared to lie to me. I'll punish you. She pulled down her kimono on her left shoulder, revealing a large part of her skin. Using your hand is too despicable. Sit on me if you dare. Do you know what punishment is? Miki Cujo sped up. Toru Watanabe opened his mouth and was about to taste the cherry in front of him when he suddenly thought of something. Why does this look like I'm drinking milk? Good boy. Big sister will feed you. Big sister will feed me. What? You want me to call my mother? Miki Cujo squeezed his hand. Nothing. Big sister is good. I like Big Sister Miki the most. P.S. Thank you to the leader of Hwaji_XX for becoming the 55th leader of this book. Thank you to the leader of Silly Looking Hanser for becoming the 56th leader of this book. I might have to go back on my word about adding more chapters. This book is 1.2 million words. It's not a lot, but for a daily life novel, it's already difficult to update normally every day. Plus, I might not even be satisfied with the quality of my writing, let alone 2 chapters of 8,000 words a day. These days, I've tried to write in front of the computer after waking up, but in the end, I've only written 4,000 words. I'm sorry to the leader who gave me the tip. I won't be adding more chapters until the end of this book. But I won't stop unless I take a break or something unexpected happens. I'm very sorry. Chapter 292. It was Sunday, and the monsoon rains that had lasted for a week were off. It was a sunny day. Toru Watanabe came back from his morning run, took a shower, and crawled back into bed without putting on his clothes. Miki Kujo groped her way over, wrapping her arms around his neck and burying her face in his chest. It's a sunny day today. He hugged her smooth, slender waist. Miki Kujo answered drowsily. I saw dragonflies on the way. Summer wants to sleep. She ordered half coquettishly. Okay. The two of them slept until 10 o'clock before they slowly got up. After breakfast, they discussed where to go with Mrs. Kujo. I didn't expect it to be sunny today, and it's the weekend. There might be a lot of people in Ueno Park. Toru Watanabe looked at the blue sky and sun outside. Then let's go to Meiji Shrine to see Changpu. Mrs. Kujo said nonchalantly. Meiji Shrine might be the same. You don't want to take me out to play because the weather is good? You only want to be sweet with Miki? Mrs. Kujo looked over and asked Toru Watanabe with a smile. Is that so? Miki Kujo also asked Toru Watanabe with a smile. Of course not. Toru Watanabe said with certainty. What I mean is we can go somewhere with fewer people. I've been alone recently and I want to go somewhere crowded. Mrs. Kujo said. You were surrounded by a bunch of people yesterday. Forget it. If you want to go to Meiji Shrine, then let's go to Meiji Shrine. You seem to be reluctant. Not at all, not at all. Really? Really? Toru Watanabe nodded. He's worried about something else. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe meaningfully. Meiji Shrine is near the Shinano apartments. It's a rare sunny day. Aona Koizumi, who didn't travel this week, is likely to take her 2 best friends for a walk. Perhaps there was also Mayasahi. They seem to have become close recently. Faced with Mrs. Kujo's curious gaze, Toru Watanabe said, There are too many people. I'm worried about your safety. Miki, don't move half a meter away from me today. Sure, Miki Kujo replied. After discussing, the 3 of them changed their clothes and took a carriage to Mingji Divine Palace. Mrs. Kujo was wearing the Showa style today. She was wearing a plain sweater and a retro long skirt that reached her ankles. Although the style was retro, it was beautiful and even looked young. Toru Watanabe almost thought that she was a female high school student who wore casual clothes on weekends during the Showa era. Miki Kujo was wearing the men's baseball uniform prepared for Toru Watanabe. It was still dark red and large and covered most of her body. She was wearing a pair of slim-fit jeans. Her legs were slender, and her curves were beautiful. Why do I feel like I've been wearing women's clothes? Toru Watanabe looked at her and said. This is a men's and women's uniform. It's also called a couple's outfit. Do you feel better now? Miki Kujo said. If that's the case, then I'll. Wait, don't put your hands in the pockets of the uniform. Why are you so surprised? Miki Kujo frowned and still put her hands in the pockets. I've definitely been fooled. Toru Watanabe took out his phone and scrolled through the photos in the hot sea. Look. He handed the phone to Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo looked at the photos and immediately burst out laughing. In the photos, Toru Watanabe was wearing a dark red baseball uniform and jeans with his hands in the pockets of the uniform. It really is a couple's outfit, she said as if she had just discovered it. You're going back to change now? We're wearing the same today? You've been fooling me into wearing women's clothes every day, Watabe-kun. Kujo's wife suddenly grabbed Toru Watanabe's hand. Look at Zenheim too. Isn't she pretty today? Why do you keep staring at Miki? Toru Watanabe almost crashed into the faded tall torii pillar at the entrance of Meiji Shrine. The pillar turned red again. Take care of your mother, he said to Miki Kujo. The 9 beauties hooked onto his other arm, and he could feel their softness pressing down on him. She said coquettishly, Suki-kun, do you want Miki or Zenheim? I. Widow or 16-year-old beautiful girl, which one do you want? Tell me. Miki, don't be like this, I'm scared. If you're scared, then why don't you take your hand back? Do you want to be buried here? Miki Kujo's face suddenly turned cold. Meiji Shrine was full of tall ancient trees on both sides of the wide road. A few steps inside was like a primitive forest, and the ground was covered with a thick layer of fallen leaves. From time to time, various bird calls could be heard, and the crow's cries were the most recognizable. Maybe there really was someone buried here. With this in mind, Toru Watanabe was about to withdraw his arm from Kujo's embrace. It's not a widow. Kujo's wife hugged him even harder. I'm also a 16-year-old beautiful girl, although I'm 19 or 19. And compared to Miki, don't you think my name sounds better? Zenheim, the real princess, isn't it, Suki-kun? There were really a lot of people in Meiji Shrine today. It was hard to tell where the Asians were from. And it was hard to tell where the Caucasians were from. Almost all eyes were focused on the 3 of them. Say something, Suki-kun, who do you want? Kujo's face was close to his. Toru Watanabe tilted his body toward Miki Kujo. I just want to kill myself from yesterday. Why? Kujo's wife asked innocently. As an elder, you asked me this question in front of so many people, and I actually said that it's a good season now, and that lotus flowers and calamus flowers are only beautiful now. I'm really a person who doesn't know how to worry. After Toru Watanabe finished speaking, Kujo's wife laughed happily. Suki-kun, you're the best. What? Ouch! A sharp pain came from his waist. He slowly turned around, and Miki Kujo was staring at him with a dark smile. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe endured the pain and asked. Nothing. Miki Kujo's tone was casual and relaxed. It's just that you said the same thing as my mother. His hand was getting heavier and heavier. As a girlfriend, you can't understand the heart of a mother and a son. After saying that, Toru Watanabe turned to Kujo's wife and said, Isn't that right, dear mother? Mother? Kujo's wife looked back. Where is mother? Toru Watanabe whispered to Miki Kujo. Your mother is crazy really. Suki-kun. Kujo's wife smiled brightly, and the hand that was wringing Toru Watanabe's waist mercilessly. Under such an atmosphere, the 3 of them walked to the cultural center. It was a courtyard surrounded by a pavilion, surrounded by green trees, and white clouds and blue sky in the distance. In the courtyard, someone was holding a wedding, and many people were watching. A wedding at Meiji Shrine was naturally a kami-style wedding. The bride was supposed to wear a pure white dress, while the groom was supposed to wear a black kimono with a plain striped pleated skirt, a small white flower in the center of his chest, and a white folding fan in his hand. The shrine's Miyagi led the way, followed by 2 dancers in red and white witch uniforms. The bride and groom walked behind the witch, and behind them were the clerics who held up red umbrellas for them. Behind the clerics were the family members of both parties. The men wore tuxedos or suits, while the women wore black or plain kimonos. It was a long line. Will we hold our wedding here in the future? Toru Watanabe asked. With me? Miyagi-san, can you go back to your year of 19 asterisk? Do you think I'm old? No, Toru Watanabe answered. Then why don't you and I? Under her daughter's gloomy gaze, Kujo's wife smiled and changed her words. Forget it, I won't tease you anymore. Then let go of my arm. Let's go see Changpu. Miki Kujo wasn't as angry as expected, and smiled as she led the 2 out of the courtyard. After walking for a while in the ancient forest, they arrived at a green lawn. The rain from yesterday had already evaporated after a whole morning's sun. At the moment, there were families having a picnic, playing games, and couples strolling on the lawn. Sit down and rest for a while, Kujo's wife said. Forget it, there are too many people here. Let's walk a bit further. Today it wasn't Kujo's wife, but Kujo's wife, so Toru Watanabe didn't follow her completely. I'm not tired, but my feet hurt, Kujo's wife said. Do you want to carry me, Suki-kun? If you don't want to, then rest for a while. Is that okay? I'm very gentle and understanding. Mother, don't make things difficult for him. Miki, Kujo's wife, said with a half-smile. He walked with me and ended up meeting a group of lovers. He's already killed himself from yesterday in his heart. Kujo's wife covered her mouth and smiled elegantly. I did it on purpose. It's those children over there, right? She pointed under a camphor tree, where many girls were having a meal. How evil. A 1980-year-old auntie. In the direction that Kujo's wife pointed, there were Mayasahi, Aona Koizumi, Huangzi, Miyazaki Miyuki. These were all expected people. In addition, the head of the trumpet department, Kaoru Hayami, and her subordinates. Aoi Ichiki, Yoshimi Tamamo, Asako Hanada, Masanori Horikita, Uenishi Rika. Finally, there was Rin Kiyono. Why are you here? Do I need to explain to you? This was the exchange of glances between Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono before Kujo's wife told them to rest. Let's go over and say hello. Otherwise, it'll be rude, Kujo's wife said happily. Miki. Toru Watanabe listened to his girlfriend's opinion. Miki, Kujo sneered. Then let's go over and have a look. Miki, you need to have the demeanor of a wife, Kujo's wife reminded him. By the way, I'm Miki's older sister. I'm a third-year student at Shengshin Girls High School. My club is the Kendo Club, and my hobby is manga. So you know about manga? Toru Watanabe was a little surprised. Suki-kun, Kujo's wife said with a smile. How old am I in your heart? I'm sorry. When I was young, I was also a girl who pursued trends and liked shoujo manga. Remember it well. Before the new year. What did you say? Nothing. The three of them walked over arm in arm. The crowd had already noticed them and reacted in various ways. Mayasahi's clear eyes stared at Toru Watanabe, and she didn't even notice the two beside him. Aona Koizumi stood up shyly and waited for them to come over. Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki stood behind her, as if they were supporting her. The people in the playing club were just watching. Masanori Horikita happily waved at Toru Watanabe. Rin Kiyono, who was sitting with them, was elegantly and calmly drinking tea. If it weren't for the large supermarket bottle of wheat tea on her skirt, Toru Watanabe would have thought that she was drinking some good black tea. When they approached, Aona Koizumi began to speak first. Kujo-san, good afternoon. Miki. Kujo first looked at her for 2 seconds, and then said, Good afternoon, Koizumi-sensei. Good afternoon, Koizumi-sensei. Mrs. Kujo repeated with a smile and curiously stared at Aona Koizumi. Good afternoon. Koizumi bowed. You are? I'm Miki's sister, Kujo Masanori. I'm now in my 3rd year of high school. Hello, Masanori-san. Mrs. Kujo's smile became a little bit more real. Toru Watanabe glanced at the 19-year-old female high school student and said to Aona Koizumi, Koizumi-sensei, you two agreed to come together? Yes. Aona Koizumi restrained her gaze and intimate tone. Maya and I were making cakes at home, and Itsuki-san called and invited us to watch the game at Jingu Stadium. The game starts at 2 p.m., so we'll have lunch here first. By the way, you two should sit down. Maya and I made some snacks. Then we won't be polite. Before Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo could react, Mrs. Kujo had already sat down. Being able to blend in with the young people naturally seemed to be a very interesting experience for her vacation. So she was smiling. You two sit down. Mrs. Kujo patted the picnic cloth. Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo sat down. Mayasahi immediately came over and wanted to sit on the other side of Toru Watanabe, but was blocked by Kujo-san. I'm sorry, Mayasahi-san. Mrs. Kujo smiled and said, Suki-kun belongs to me today. Belongs to you? Mayasahi tilted her head slightly, and a faint voice came out of her thin lips. Yes, belongs to me. Kujo-san wrapped her arms around Toru Watanabe's arm. Isn't that right, Suki-kun? As long as you're happy. Really, how many times have I told you not to use honorifics with me? even though we've gone out to play together several times. I never said that. And please pay attention to your wording. What do you mean go out to play together several times? My Asahi nodded understandingly. Aona Koizumi's gaze moved back and forth between Miki Kujo and Kujo-san, and suddenly said as if she remembered something. By the way, please try the cake. Thank you. I love cake the most. It's so beautiful and cute. Did you really make it yourself? Toru Watanabe was speechless. With himself as the premise, the cake made by Aonai Koizumi and Mai Asaka was indeed passable. However, Mrs. Kujio's reaction was not known if it was exaggerated, or if it was in line with her identity. Toru, have some too. Mai Asahi cut a piece. I made it. Thank you, senpai. I can cut it myself. Toru Watanabe didn't take the piece in her hand, and cut one for himself. He felt sorry for Mai Asahi for being so polite, but acting intimate in front of Miki Kujo-san, even if she agreed to it, would only make her dislike them, and it might even lead to bad things. But even if that wasn't the case, he still couldn't be intimate with girls in front of Miki Kujo. No matter what, Miki Kujo was his girlfriend. It's delicious. Suki-kun, have a taste. No need. Is it really delicious? Come on, no need. Toru Watanabe dodged and pursed his lips. Being intimate with girls seemed to be something that only Kujo-san could do. At the same time, they entered the old theater on the other side. Good afternoon, Kiyono-san. Good afternoon, Gio. Miki-san. The two girls looked at each other, one smiling, the other expressionless. Could it be that you've already changed? Miki Kujo said. Thank you for your concern. I only agreed to come because I heard that Watanabe-san was coming back, but I didn't expect Miki-san to come as well. You don't want to see me? Rin Kiyono gave her a cold expression that said, you know it yourself. Forget it. Miki Kujo's voice was soft and melodious as she looked at Rin Kiyono. This blue dress is very nice, and the white belt matches it very well. Thank you, Rin Kiyono said lightly. I wasn't saying anything. I was sincerely praising you. Miki Kujo laughed. You're not praising my clothes? Rin Kiyono sneered. I thought you were shallow enough, but I didn't expect you to care about wearing the same clothes. It's because I like him that I even want to wear the same clothes as him. Forget it. You won't understand even if I tell you. How did you know that Watanabe was coming here today? Why should I tell you? Watanabe. Miki Kujo called out to Toru Watanabe, who was avoiding his mother feeding him. What's the matter? Toru Watanabe immediately replied. This 19-20-year-old female high school student was too hard to please. She was pestering him endlessly. She was clearly noble and inviolable yesterday. Did you tell Kiyono-san that we're coming to Meiji Shrine today? No. Toru Watanabe understood why Seigo Rin was here from Seigo Haru's words. How did you know that I'm coming here? He asked with his eyes. Do you have the ability to predict the future? Yiki-san told me. At the same time, Rin Kiyono reprimanded him with her eyes. Don't dream all day long. Yiki-san? Toru Watanabe doubtfully looked at Aoichiki. That, Aoichiki nervously replied. Koi-san told me. Koi-san? Why did a man come out? He said that today is the first round of the Koshien preliminaries in Kamigawa, and asked if we're coming. I told Kiyono-san and she gave us a day off. The minister knows that I'm coming. I'm not interested in your business. Miki Kujo interrupted her. Oh. Aoichiki nodded. I tried to invite Kiyono-san, but Kiyono-san and Watanabe-san are the same. They never accept invitations. So I went to Koi-san and asked him if Watanabe-san would come. Koi-san said that he would call Watanabe-san and ask him to come watch the game. He said that Watanabe-san's house is very close to Meiji Stadium, and he's a member of the baseball club, so he would definitely come. So you said to me, Kun Watanabe is also here? Rin Kiyono looked at Aoichiki. Aoichiki was a little embarrassed and quickly said, but he really came. The problem is that Koi-san didn't call me. Koi-san lied to me. Aoichiki slightly widened her eyes. Let me check the records, maybe I didn't notice. Toru Watanabe reached into his pocket, but didn't find his phone. Dropped it? The moment this thought came to his mind, he remembered that he didn't get his phone back when he showed the photo to Miki Kujo. "Miki, my phone is with you, right?" he said. Miki Kujo looked at Rin Kiyono with a smile, and at the same time, she raised her left hand. Toru Watanabe held her left hand with his left hand, and his right hand reached into the sleeve of his baseball uniform and took out his phone. No. Before he could finish, his phone rang. "Watanabe, come out to Meiji Stadium. Let's see Koi-san's free home run." "I just got here," Toru Watanabe said to Aoichiki. Miki Kujo smiled at Rin Kiyono, and Rin Kiyono picked up the paper cup and drank the wheat tea as if she didn't see anything. Chapter 293. Looking at Rin Kiyono, Miki Kujo revealed a sarcastic smile. "It seems that the game is about to start." Toru Watanabe hung up the phone. "Are we going to watch?" Everyone discussed for a while. That was why the people from the wind department were here, so they immediately packed up and headed to the Jingu Stadium. "We're going to cheer for our school's students as well," Aona Koizumi said on behalf of the 3 teachers and Mayasahi. "Koizumi-sensei." Mrs. Kujo's smile was youthful and lively. "Do you want to watch the calamus flowers with us?" Tikin said that calamus flowers are only beautiful in this season. Aona Koizumi glanced at Miki Kujo and smiled gently. "Forget it. I've already agreed to watch the game with you." "What a pity." Mrs. Kujo tilted her head regretfully. "See you next time then, Koizumi-sensei my-chan." "See you next time, Zenheim-san." Aona Koizumi bowed slightly. "Okay." Mayasahi nodded slightly. Mrs. Kujo stood up, walked to Rin Kiyono's side, and put her arm around her shoulder. "Little Rin will go with us, right? Auntie Zenheim, please don't come so close." Rin Kiyono pushed her away. "Auntie Zenheim?" Aona Koizumi and the others, who were packing up drinks, lunchboxes, and cakes, looked over. "Don't you know?" Kujo Zenheim said. "Actually, in terms of seniority, Miki and I are older than little Rin. Let me reintroduce you." Toru Watanabe seized the opportunity. "This is Miki's mother, not her older sister." Everyone didn't react. They looked suspiciously at Toru Watanabe and Mrs. Kujo. "I'm serious," Toru Watanabe added. "Really?" Guangzi asked cautiously. "Of course, would I make such a joke?" "Hey!" A girl's exclamation came from the lawn, attracting the attention of the tourists. "Really? Kujo classmate's mother is so young. She really looks like my sister." "Ah." Aona Koizumi came back to her senses and quickly bowed. "Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Miki Kujo's teacher, Aona Koizumi. I'm sorry, it's rare for us to come out and play. I'm in a good mood, so I wanted to tease Koen Watanabe and my daughter." Mrs. Kujo smiled gently. It was just that the way she smiled had changed. She had changed from a young girl in 19 to a young noblewoman in 20. Everyone immediately became cautious. After her identity was exposed, Kujo no longer had any interest in talking to them. She turned around and grabbed her daughter in Rin Kiyono's arms, and walked towards the calamus flower field. "Rin, when we came today, I asked Koen Watanabe to choose between Miki and me, and he chose me." "Lies." "Miki, you tell her. Can you not hug me? It's very hot." "You don't like your mother?" "I don't like Kiyono classmate." "Ah, I happen to feel the same. You two have such good chemistry. You're actually very close." "No." In the middle of the conversation, Toru Watanabe said to Mayasahi and Aona Koizumi, "I'm sorry." "Why are you apologizing?" Aona Koizumi looked at him in confusion. "My attitude just now." "It's okay." Aona Koizumi smiled and said nonchalantly, "You're here to accompany Miki classmate today, and she's... Anyway, Watanabe, teacher won't blame you for what you did." "Yeah." Mayasahi nodded in agreement. "As long as I'm sincere, I don't care about anything else." Toru Watanabe looked at the two of them and asked, "Is this really okay?" "Of course it's impossible to say that I don't care." Aona Koizumi smiled and said, "But Watanabe, you're in a difficult position, right? We'll only be happy if we care and understand each other, right?" "Oh." Toru Watanabe was speechless. Even if he drew a clear distance between them in front of Mickey and acted politely, the two of them still understood him. No, they accommodated him. Also, Aona Koizumi was a little expectant and shy. Didn't you promise me that you'll take me out to play after the Mayu? I'll go too. My Asahi stared at Aona Koizumi. That. I'll go too. My Asahi stared at Aona Koizumi. My classmate, that you can be alone with. I'll go too. My Asahi stared at Aona Koizumi. Aona Koizumi didn't know what to do and looked at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe looked at the two of them and smiled. Teacher, you decide. Goodbye. Watanabe, I'll go too. My Asahi stared at Aona Koizumi. Toru Watanabe caught up with the three of them. Rin Kiyono was trying to pull his arm back from Mrs. Kujo. Watanabe, classmate, help. I can't help. Toru Watanabe put his hands in his pockets and walked with light steps. I don't want to be entangled. You come here. Miki Kujo turned her delicate face and ordered. What? Miki Kujo's other arm hooked around Toru Watanabe's arm. The four of them stood side by side, hand in hand, under the gaze of tourists. Ordinary people might feel ashamed, but the four of them were bad people who didn't care about the eyes of the world. In the puddles of water in the flower field, the calamus looked like daffodils, but the colors were different. White, peach, lavender, dark purple, and other colors competed with each other and stretched into the depths of the forest. Small signs were erected at the roots of the calamus, with universe and cloud clothes written on them. In front of the flower field, there were photographers and artists sketching. In the flower field, the flower farmer was taking care of the flower field. Toru Watanabe was curious about what kind of scenery would be depicted on the camera lens and canvas. The calamus in the plum rain season is really beautiful. Let's go to Ueno to see the lotus later. Mrs. Kujo looked at the three of them. How about next week? Toru Watanabe said. Looking at one flower a day can make you feel good twice. Mrs. Kujo smiled and stared at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe understood what she meant. But it's boring to go back so early. It's rare to come out. Let's go to Yoyogi Park or go shopping in Takeshita Tong. That's a good idea. Mrs. Kujo nodded with satisfaction. Let's go, Rin Mickey. Sorry, I have to go back. Rin Kiyono looked tired. And tired? Mrs. Kujo asked with concern. And I haven't walked this long in a long time. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Recently, because he paid attention to the distance between them, he didn't give her any drinks with drugs. Moreover, that kind of thing, in order to strengthen the body, it needs to be combined with long-term regular exercise. Rin Kiyono's exercise time is limited to when she is with him. Expecting her to go back to exercise by herself is better than expecting to meet a puppy on the road and chase her around. He doesn't know if a dog can resist her charm. Anyway, a cat probably can't. While he was thinking, Rin Kiyono in his line of sight suddenly smiled, like a lotus quietly blooming with water. Toru Watanabe looked away from her as if nothing happened. If Rin wants to go back, then I can only go with Tsuchi-kun and Mickey. Kujo Masakazu sighed. I have a proposal. Toru Watanabe understood that this was a threat from Mrs. Kujo. Kiyono-san, how about going to Jingu Stadium to watch the game? You just need to sit there. Are you going to play? Rin Kiyono asked. Me? Of course not. I'm not interested in baseball. The person who is interested in it won't play. Why should I sit there? Rin. Mrs. Kujo couldn't help but laugh. Even if it's a war, you don't have to be so straightforward. If there's no time limit, if it's not for Kiyono's family, I'll take it slow. But no matter what, I'll be the winner in the end. There's no doubt about that. A defeated dog can still be so confident. Even as an enemy, I admire your tenacity. Miki Kujo crossed her arms and tapped her phone on her arm with a contemptuous smile. I'm not afraid of losing. I admit defeat, but I'll never lose. Rin Kiyono said coldly. On the contrary, I'm afraid of losing. I won't admit defeat, but I'll never lose. Mrs. Kujo looked at her daughter and Rin Kiyono and nodded with interest. Then, as if she suddenly remembered something, she said to the invisible Toru Watanabe. Kun Watanabe, Can I trouble you to play? I want to spend more time with Rin. Mrs. Kujo's eyes were filled with an irresistible smile, so Toru Watanabe changed his words. I'll try, but there's nothing I can do. Then let's go and watch the baseball game. Mrs. Kujo held the arms of the two young ladies again. The last time I watched a baseball game was 19 Star. I was only 15 years old then. I was a young girl in a sailor suit. Younger than both of you. By the way, Kun Watanabe, I'll cheer for you and be your first baseball fan. Thank you. The four of them left Meiji Shrine and took a car to Meiji Shrine. Last summer, in order to film from Iwate Prefecture to Tokyo, for 100 kilometers, the three of them watched the fireworks at the stadium. At the entrance of the stadium, there was a sign that said, 104th National High School Baseball Players Rights in Tokyo Tournament. The four of them came late to watch Calamus, so the ticket office was empty. Each of them paid 800 yen for a ticket. As they walked in, there was no one in the snack and food shop. Only the staff was staring at the live broadcast on the wall. The four of them walked into the auditorium. The audience was sparse, and they sat randomly. The entire stadium was covered by a net. On the widescreen, the game was in the second half of the first half. Toru Watanabe looked at the field and found the Kanagawa High School's lounge. He pointed there and said, "You guys sit there." Miki Kujo looked at the screen. The Kanagawa High School's cheerleaders were there, singing the school song and cheering in unison. No, it's too noisy. She stood in the infield directly opposite the pitcher. Don't talk nonsense. Toru Watanabe pulled her up. I might be able to play later. You guys sit there. Even if I'm in the field, I can protect you immediately. Are you ordering me? Although she said that, Miki Kujo still let him pull her. It's not an order, it's a request. Looking at the back of the two, Mrs. Kujo said to Rin Kiyono. The situation seems to be unfavorable for you, Rin. Compared to Miki, Watanabe, Sen loves me more. Tell me, who do you think he wants us to sit there to protect? Without waiting for Mrs. Kujo to answer, Rin Kiyono walked in the direction of Toru Watanabe. Should we arrange an assassination? Mrs. Kujo whispered. After greeting Aono Koizumi and the others, Toru Watanabe took off his jacket and sat on Miki Kujo's chair. I'll go down and ask if I can play. Don't leave here. He reminded them again and again before leaving the auditorium. Where is Kun Watanabe going? Aono Koizumi asked subconsciously. He's playing for Rin Kiyono. Miki Kujo sneered. Aono Koizumi wanted to say something, but she suddenly realized that the three of them were sitting together, and the inexplicable atmosphere made it difficult for her to speak. But playing for Rin Kiyono? Was there going to be four of them? Aono Koizumi was a little worried, but Rin Kiyono didn't care. What if there were more in the future? Speaking of Rin Kiyono, she remembered how she called her sister 10 years ago and stared at her side profile. Toru Watanabe entered the stadium using his identity as a member of the baseball club. He looked back at the auditorium, confirmed the shortest route to the three of them, and walked into Kamigawa's resting area. Osamu Kunai saw him and immediately waved. Do, Kun Watanabe. The female baseball manager's voice drowned out Osamu Kunai's. She ran up to him with a file. Kun Watanabe, why are you here? Sit down. Thank you, classmate Kobayashi. I'm looking for classmate Guojing. Toru Watanabe didn't sit in the front row that she gave him. Instead, he sat next to Osamu Kunai in the second row. Guojing, can I play later? He asked. Play. Osamu Kunai looked at him in surprise. I thought you didn't like baseball? I don't like playing music either. Don't talk nonsense. Can you let me play? Any position is fine. You'll have to ask the coach. In the high school baseball club, the coach's words are absolute. Help me ask. Tell him that I'm an all-rounder. Even if I lose points at first, after a few sentences, I'll be a world-class baseball player. You really know how to brag. At most, I'll say that you run fast and let you guard the bases. Anything is fine. Osamu Kunai stood up, walked to the front row, and whispered to the coach who was staring at the field. Coach, Watanabe said that he wants to play. That guy runs faster than me. Maybe he can try to guard the bases. Idiot. The coach scolded. This is the Koshien preliminaries. If we lose one game, we'll lose completely. Our opponent is Aoyama High School. The baseball club has just been established and they lost 4 o'clock in the first sentence. Can we underestimate the opponent like this? Dad. Kobayashi held the coach's arm. Just let Koen Watanabe play one game. Just one game. He can guard the left field or right field. Is that okay? No. Koshien doesn't allow anyone to go easy on them. Even Osaka Tashiko lost in the preliminaries. How can we? Kobayashi let go of her hand and turned her face away. The coach glanced at his daughter and then looked at the field. Aha, but that was the Osaka division. This is the Tokyo division, and the opponent is Aoyama High School. It doesn't make any sense to win against such an opponent. Proper reserve players can increase the pressure on the main players and keep them nervous from the beginning. Only by continuously winning the game under pressure can they go further in Koshien. Didn't you just say that no one is allowed to go easy on them? Osamu Kunai said. Idiot. This is a strategy. Do you think baseball is just throwing, swinging, and catching? I'll let Watanabe change his clothes. Osamu Kunai quickly slipped away. By the way, the coach shouted. Let him go to the pitcher's mound. Pitcher. It doesn't matter if we let Aoyama score. Our lineup is strong enough. Kunai. Yes. You called him. You have to get back all the points he lost. Do you hear me? Yes. Osamu Kunai walked past the second row and said to Toru Watanabe, relying on your identity as Kamigawa's #1 hitter, I convinced the coach to allow you to play. Go change your clothes. By the way, you're the pitcher. Toru Watanabe looked at the 1-meter gap between the front and back rows and gained a new understanding of Osamu Kunai's shamelessness. I don't have any clothes. No clothes. Guo Jingxiu was shocked. You're playing in a competition and you're not wearing your team uniform. By the way, you don't seem to have a uniform. Yes. Kobayashi took out a bag. Koen Watanabe, your uniform is here. By the way, there's also your baseball gloves, cap, and helmet. Thank you very much. Toru Watanabe used honorifics. After changing his clothes, Toru Watanabe followed everyone to the field in the second half. Guojing. Toru Watanabe said softly. What's the matter? Osamu Kunai was about to go to first base. Pitcher, do I just have to throw the ball and let the catcher catch it? Osamu Kunai looked at Toru Watanabe. What's the matter? Hurry up and answer me. I'm in a hurry. Where is this? Osamu Kunai pointed at his feet. Jingong Stadium. Where is Jingong Stadium? Baseball field? Where is the baseball field? Toru Watanabe looked at Osamu Kunai. Osamu Kunai looked at Toru Watanabe. After a while. You don't know baseball? Osamu Kunai asked. I do, Toru Watanabe replied. I'm just confirming. It's my first time playing in a game. What's this area called? You don't know at all. You don't know baseball at all. Listen up, this is the infield. That's the boundary. You have to. Don't talk about this. Tell me what the pitcher should do. Their discussion had attracted the attention of others. Throw the ball and let the catcher catch it. Osamu Kunai said in a tone as if he had given up everything. Why didn't you say that earlier? I'm just a pitcher. I don't need to know where this is. Toru Watanabe walked up to the pitcher's mound. In the audience. He's really on the field. Miki Kujo crossed her legs and tried to get her interest piqued. He's even discussing tactics with Guojing. Aona Koizumi looked expectant. Rin Kiyono looked at the field nonchalantly. Kuren Watanabe. Come on. Koen Watanabe. Come on. Mrs. Kujo held an inflatable baseball bat and shouted with the Kamigawa cheerleaders. Chapter 294. Toru Watanabe stood on the pitcher's mound. The other 8 members of Kamigawa spread out and took their positions. The first batter from Aoyama High School walked up to the batter's box. Watanabe. Watanabe. On the left, Kamigawa's support team shouted in unison. On the right, Aoyama High School's support team was also shouting. There were more than 200 or 300 people on both sides, but their momentum was not to be underestimated. The sparse audience kept glancing at them, which was more eye-catching than a match. After the first batter from Aoyama High School adjusted his posture, the referee standing behind the catcher made a gesture, and Toru Watanabe could throw the ball. He had learned a little about pitching when he was training with Osamu Kanai. The so-called a little, specifically, was the rule of the strike zone. The so-called strike zone was the zone that was easy for the batter to hit. It was used to restrict the pitcher. That was what Osamu Kanai had said at the time. It's not easy for the pitcher to hit. Toru Watanabe recalled in his mind. At the same time, he assumed a perfect pitching posture. That was all he knew and did about the baseball club. When he assumed a pitching posture, not only did the crowd not quiet down, the cheers from Kamigawa's support team grew louder. Just as the Watanabe girls shouted, Toru Watanabe threw the ball. Bam! The ball fell into the catcher's glove. A strike! The referee behind the catcher said something unclear. Ah, Watanabe. Aoyama. Aoyama High School's cheerleaders seemed to have more people than Kamigawa. The catcher threw the ball back to Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe adjusted his posture and looked at the first batter from Aoyama High School. He didn't swing his bat just now. That's all I need to do. He glanced at the audience and confirmed that the two young ladies and madam were safe. He lifted his leg and threw the ball. Bang! The sound was crisp and clear. The ball was hit by the bat and rolled out. After confirming the hit, the first batter from Green Mountain dropped his baseball bat and ran toward Osamu Kanai at first base. As Tetsumasa Watanabe watched the batter run, the ball suddenly flew out from behind him and rushed towards Osamu Kanai. Osamu Kanai caught the ball cleanly. 1 out. The referee near Osamu Kanai shouted. Looks like I lost face. Toru Watanabe adjusted his baseball cap, walked off the mound, and walked toward the manager's seat. When he was about to walk out of the stadium, Osamu Kanai pulled him back and looked at him in disbelief. Where are you going? Wasn't he eliminated? The one who's out is the hitter just now. You bastard. Osamu Kanai roared. With me here, they won't even get to the first base. I see. Toru Watanabe turned and walked back to the pitcher's mound. Osamu Kanai is standing at first base. The hitter immediately ran there after hitting the ball. Does he score at first base? Or forget it? There was no need to think about the rules in this game. What I should do now? Toru Watanabe looked at the second batter from Green Mountain High School. Make sure the opponent misses the ball. The second batter was in position. The catcher squatted down. The referee behind the catcher was fully focused. How can I make the opponent miss the ball? Toru Watanabe looked at the audience again, thinking casually in his head. The first ball, the hitter deliberately didn't swing his bat and observed the path of the ball. The second ball, he hit it directly and almost hit a single. Koen Watanabe is in danger. Toru Watanabe's first baseball fan, Mrs. Kujo, said happily. Embarrassing. Miki Kujo was unhappy and decided to punish him tonight. Rin Kiyono yawned elegantly. The temperature was neither too hot nor too cold. There was no wind. The cheerleaders from both teams were shouting nonstop. I can't hit it. Is it because the ball is too slow? Then let's hurry up and try. Toru Watanabe raised his leg and got into a standard stance. The second batter from Green Mountain High School held the bat with both hands and stared at Toru Watanabe. The first batter told him that the pitcher in front of him, who came out of nowhere, threw 2 straight balls with average speed in the middle of the strike zone. There was no better ball to hit than that. The problem was the opponent's defense was very good. Could he run to first base? No, he ran very fast. If he hit the ball well enough, he might even be able to run to second base. Good ball. The referee shouted. The second batter from Green Mountain High School was speechless. Average speed? Was it 140 km/h just now? It was definitely there. Beautiful. The catcher threw the ball back. Toru Watanabe caught the ball thrown back by the catcher. That ball should be able to. No, the previous batter didn't swing his bat, and his expression was just as calm. Considering the possibility that not swinging his bat is a tactic, it's safer to throw the second ball a little harder. Toru Watanabe raised his leg, swung his arm, and threw the ball. The piercing sound of the wind. At that moment, the catcher, who had been facing fast balls for many years, instinctively closed his eyes, regardless of whether he was brave or not. It's over. A mistake. As soon as the catcher thought that, a drilling force came from the baseball glove on his left hand, threatening to pierce through his palm. Good ball. The referee shouted. Nice ball. The catcher roared in excitement as his left hand went slightly numb. He threw the ball back to Toru Watanabe with great effort. The second batter from Green Mountain High School was speechless. Toru Watanabe caught the ball easily. He was as confused as the first batter. The catcher suddenly spoke English? The rules of baseball. In that case, baseball seemed to have originated in America. This ball speed seems to be enough to deal with Green Mountain High School. Toru Watanabe confirmed as he looked at the second batter's nervous expression. He raised his leg and threw the ball. Strike out. Batter out. Following the referee's voice, the second batter walked back to the Green Mountain High School coach's seat with a look of doubt on his face. Toru Watanabe caught the ball thrown back by the catcher. He used his foot to find a comfortable foothold on the pitcher's mound and looked at the audience. The two young ladies are safe. Madam Watanabe. Watanabe. When did she join Kamigawa's cheerleading team? Cheerleading team? Toru Watanabe finally remembered that there was such a group of people. He looked over, then immediately looked away. Although the skirt was short, it was full of safety shorts. If this continues, the baseball game will lose its charm sooner or later. Toru Watanabe looked at the third batter from Green Mountain High School. When the opponent was in position and he was about to throw the ball, the catcher's gloveless hand suddenly made an unclear gesture on his crotch. Toru Watanabe was speechless. He could guess that it was a secret signal, but secret signals were not something that laymen could easily understand. Do you understand? The catcher gave him a simple and easy-to-understand look, and at the same time moved slightly. Toru Watanabe shook his head. The catcher's movement paused, and then he quickly made another gesture on his crotch. Without waiting for him to finish, Toru Watanabe shook his head. If he didn't understand, he didn't understand. Even if he was the best in the country, he couldn't understand what the catcher was trying to say. The catcher returned to his original position and placed his glove in the middle of the strike zone. Toru Watanabe raised his leg and threw the ball. The piercing sound of the wind was heard again. Because of his previous experience, although the catcher didn't know how good Toru Watanabe was at controlling the ball, he was at least certain that the ball had some control and didn't have to worry about it hitting him. He opened his eyes and watched the ball, which, based on his years of experience, had a speed of almost 160 kilometers per hour. It fell into the basket like a cannonball. The slight numbness in his palm increased. Strike one. The umpire shouted. The speed of the two balls is almost the same. The catcher threw the ball back in the basket. Baseball seems a little boring. With that thought, Toru Watanabe threw the second ball mechanically. Strike two. The catcher threw the ball back, and Toru Watanabe threw the third ball at the same speed. 3 strikes. 3 outs. Offense and defense exchange. Watanabe. Watanabe. After shouting, they cheerfully sang the school song in unison. For valleys and hills, the school building where the crow flies, our alma mater, Kamigawa. On the wide scoreboard in the distance, the score for the second half of Aoyama Academy's second sentence was 0. The game ends when 3 batters are out. Toru Watanabe thought about the rules of baseball that he didn't know were correct and walked towards the coach's seat. Watanabe. Osamu Kunai jogged over. You know how good I am, right? During training, all your balls were hit by me. Aoyama High is too weak. Toru Watanabe took off his gloves. That's part of the reason. I can hit a straight ball like yours no matter how fast it is. I only know how to hit straight balls. The catcher, who was about to say something, heard this and closed his mouth. After the Kamigawa cheerleaders finished singing the school song, they started shouting again. Watanabe. Come on. Kamigawa. First place. The other school didn't show any weakness. Aoyama. Come on. During the short break, the cheerleaders from both sides of the fan-shaped field yelled at each other. The cheers were so loud that the field, which could seat 30,000 people, was filled with their voices. Kuren Watanabe. The female manager came over with a towel and water. Great. You completely suppressed the other team's lineup. It was just luck. Toru Watanabe said. It wasn't luck. The ball was very, very fast. Oh right, here, towel and water. Thanks, I'm not thirsty and I'm not sweating. Then I'll give you a massage. Keep throwing high-speed balls, you need to relax your arms. Thank you, I'm not tired at all. No need, Yujizi. Kunai rubbed his arm and said, Give me a massage, it hurts. Kobayashi Yujizi stared at him with her hands on her hips. You didn't do anything. Kuren Watanabe struck out 3 batters by himself. The second ball was clearly hit. Was it as tough as Kuren Watanabe? He only caught 1 ball. Kuren Watanabe threw 3 balls. Kobayashi Yujizi looked down at Osamu Kunai. No. While the second row was arguing, Kamigawa's first batter was already on the field. The coach looked at the batter's box and asked the catcher, How is it? The ball is very fast, the catcher replied. Can he play? The catcher looked at the batter on the field. It was Kamigawa's ace pitcher, Uchida. Uchida's speed was not as fast as Watanabe's, but it was not slow either. His highest record was 150 kilometers per hour. In Koshien, he might not be the fastest, but he was definitely one of the top pitchers and had the ability to win the championship. Coupled with Osamu Kunai's lineup, everyone's goal this year was to win the championship. This was also the reason why the baseball club dared to promise that if Koshien didn't make it to the finals, they would give everyone a seat at the school gate. Toru Watanabe was the school star. His club was the legendary Human Observation Club, which was a cultural club. They had only seen him a few times on the field. Even if his speed was very fast, he only knew how to throw straight balls. In the end, was his speed really 160 kilometers per hour? With that kind of monstrous speed, he could definitely go to America and dominate the major leagues. Now that he had calmed down and thought about it carefully, perhaps he was simply facing a high-speed ball that gave him an illusion. He had never caught a ball with a speed of 160 kilometers per hour. Not to mention Kamigawa's pitchers, this kind of speed had only appeared a few times in Koshien. Every time, it would cause a huge uproar, make the commentators' saliva fly, and print a whole page of the newspaper with the pitcher's picture. Toru Watanabe, who had never trained, could throw such a ball? Impossible. As long as there were no accidents, their team would definitely make it to the top for this year. The finals required a little bit of luck, and the championship required a little bit of luck. In this case, there was no need to risk Toru Watanabe, who had never trained before, to play. Uchida was good, but he had to work with a catcher like him to show his true strength. Toru Watanabe, who only knew how to throw straight balls, and only in the middle of the strike zone, made him, the catcher, almost a robot. No, a robot. What was the point of winning like that? However, there was still a lingering numbness in his left hand. In order to win Kamigawa's honor, he was willing to squat and not move. Everything was for Kamigawa. Everything was for Koshien. Coach, I think he... Watanabe. A dash. Toru Watanabe was not on the field. He was in the coach's seat, where the support team could not see. On the field was the ace pitcher Uchida, who was running to first base, but there were still many people shouting Toru Watanabe's name above his head. Coach, he only has speed. Other than that, he has nothing else. Yeah. The catcher was very fat. He crossed his arms and calmly watched the ace pitcher, Uchida, rush to first base. Watanabe, you've been popular enough in Kamigawa. Koshien, the sacred field, will not be trampled by you. The order of the batters had been decided at the beginning. Toru Watanabe did not have a chance to play. Kojin was the fourth batter. The first ball from Aoyama High School's pitcher was cleanly hit by him. Almost without hesitation, as if he already knew that he would hit, he threw away his bat and ran to first base. In the end, he stepped on the second base opposite the batter's seat. At the same time, Uchida, who was originally standing on third base, smoothly ran back to home plate and helped Kamigawa get a run. The player who was originally on first base ran past second base, but was hit on the way to third base and was directly out. With 2 outs, Kamigawa could still continue to score, and the 5th batter could be sent up. Toru Watanabe was dealing with the enthusiastic Kobayashi Yukiko. He took the time to take a look and learned a little more about the rules of baseball. To score a run, the batter had to run from the batter's seat, home plate, to first base, second base, third base, and finally back to home plate to score a run. It seemed that one could not run all the way in the middle. If the defender got the ball and touched the runner would be directly eliminated. So the pitcher is the defender? Toru Watanabe felt that he had learned the basics. Baseball was quite simple. If the pitcher was not hit, the batter would run as long as he was not touched by the opposing player who had the ball. If I'm the batter, won't I get a run for sure? Toru Watanabe, who ran fast and had the dodge skill, thought to himself. In the first half of the 3rd inning, Kamigawa scored 3 runs. In the second half, Toru Watanabe came up and struck out 3 opponents with 9 quick, simple and boring pitches. He immediately started the 4th inning. The catcher took off his gloves, looked at his trembling left hand, and then looked at Toru Watanabe's back as he greeted the audience. 9 balls, the same speed, the same landing point. This was an absolute talent. He opened his mouth. Watanabe. Watanabe. Ah, Watanabe. I love you. The catcher's trembling hand clenched into a fist. He sat down next to the ace pitcher, Uchida, folded his arms, and lowered his baseball cap. Uchida, let's dominate Koshien together. Yeah, let's do it. Toru Watanabe was bored. It was a simple pitching game, and he could not throw to his heart's content. As for the cheers of Kamigawa's cheerleaders, he was already tired of hearing them shout my name out loud, during last year's sports festival. At that time, it was even louder than this. It was the cheers of the entire school. In the 5th sentence, after striking out 3 opponents, 9 innings of the game were suddenly over. Did they surrender? Toru Watanabe asked. The score is 21-0. It's over early. Let's go. Where to? The curtain call. Toru Watanabe followed the baseball players onto the field. Because he was a reserve player, he stood at the back of the team. The 2 schools faced each other and stood in a row. As soon as they stood in position and took off their hats to salute each other, the stadium's air raid siren sounded. Woo! It was an ear-piercing sound. Toru Watanabe straightened his back, turned around, and ran towards Miki Kujo, Rin Kiyono, and Mrs. Kujo in the audience. Because he was too fast, when he rushed out of the baseball field, he realized that no one else seemed to have reacted to the air raid siren except for him. Under Miki Kujo and the others' mocking gazes, he slowed down his pace, took off his baseball cap as if nothing had happened, and flicked the non-existent dust off it. The air raid siren is over. I understand a little about baseball. He put his baseball cap back on. Watanabe. Watanabe. Although the cheerleaders were puzzled by his behavior, it did not stop them from being excited to see Toru Watanabe up close and face to face. They all shouted loudly, "You rascal! Do you have to be so impatient?" Osamu Kunai and the others walked over. Kamigawa's baseball team stood in a row again, bowed to the cheerleaders and shouted in unison, "Thank you very much." After they bowed, the game was finally over. When he left the field with the Kamigawa players, who were talking and laughing, Toru Watanabe suddenly heard the cheers from the opposite side. "Chingshan, go for it! Chingshan, go for it!" It was Chingshan High School's cheerleaders. They were eliminated in the first round of the Koshien preliminaries. The plum rain was not over yet, and summer had not really arrived, but Chingshan High School's baseball team had already finished. They bowed to the cheerleaders for a long time without looking up. A few people in the middle had their heads lowered while wiping their tears. Most of them hid their expressions under their baseball caps. "Koen Watanabe, you don't have to sympathize with them." The female baseball manager held her luggage. "It's either a loss or a win. Since the day we were eliminated in the first round of Koshien last year, we've been training every day. We deserve any victory." "I know it's been hard." Toru Watanabe thought of the baseball team that ran every morning, the cheers that he heard after school every day, and the figures that swung their bats on the field on weekends. Kun Watanabe, my dad asked me to ask you if you're interested in joining the team? Thank you, but no thanks. I still have to guide the playing section. Koshien was a stage full of passion, hard work, and dreams. It was not a place where he, who had not participated in a day's training and did not know the rules, should go and show off. When he returned to the auditorium, he received a warm welcome. Kun Watanabe, they didn't let you officially join the team? Mrs. Kujo was still holding an inflatable baseball bat in her hand. They invited me. When's the next game? I'll come with little Rin and Mickey to support them. By the way, call Yuko. Yuko was Mrs. Kiyono's name. I have to guide the playing section. I don't have time, and I'm not interested in baseball. No, I'm not interested in any sports. Except for liars, people who like sports are the second most hated people. As she spoke, Rin Kiyono's expression became gloomy and cold. I also have a job. I don't have time, Miki Kujo said. That's Watanabe-kun's match. And it's not like it's every day. I've just asked, and there are only 8 matches in the preliminaries. Mrs. Kujo enticed. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe and said with a smile. Anyway, he'll win. There's no suspense in a game, and it's a sports game. What's the point of watching it? Little Rin, you mean that Watanabe will definitely win as long as he plays? Mrs. Kujo asked. I believe in my subordinate. Rin Kiyono confidently brushed her long hair over her shoulder. Thank you for your envious speech. Miki Kujo said with a smile. But he's mine. Rin Kiyono looked at her. Before she could speak, Toru Watanabe said, They invited me but I refused. Refused? What's the reason? Mrs. Kujo asked. For male high school students, Koshien is everyone's dream, right? Toru Watanabe looked at the field and said, That's why I refused. After hearing this, Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe with her cold and charming eyes. What's wrong? He asked curiously. Forget it. Rin Kiyono looked away. Her naked long black hair fell over her back, and the side of her face was submerged in the black hair. Toru Watanabe couldn't see her expression. Temporary event. June 20th, 3:11 p.m. In the audience of the Shrine Stadium, the pure and cold beautiful girl who only likes you wants to say something but hesitates. Event content. Let Rin Kiyono say what she wants to say. Direct questions or indirect hints are prohibited. Event time before the end of Koshien. Event reward. 1 point of charm. Special note 1. The charm points rewarded by this temporary event can only be used on the following parts: appearance, hair, facial features, neck, back, waist, hands, shoulders, upper arms, forearms, hands, hips, thighs, calves, feet. Expression, smile, smile, sneer, ridicule, sneer. Cry, tears. Anger, expressionless glare. Yawn. Temperament, cold, calm, elegant, indifferent. Personality, confidence, rationality, ego, single-minded, leader, competitive. There's a limit to charm points. It can't be that these are all Rin Kiyono's charm points, right? You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.